Chapter 1978. This palm was very casual. In his eyes, this palm could easily kill Lin Yi, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi also pushed out a palm as if he wanted to take this attack head-on. Moreover, Lin Yi's expression was like a smile that wasn't a smile, as if he wasn't afraid of this palm at all. Although the man in black was a bit confused, he didn't think too much about it. He naturally knew that this was a main road. Although he was from an ancient noble house and wasn't afraid of ordinary people, some things couldn't be overdone. After all, there was an ancient agreement. Bang! The two palms collided, and a muffled sound was heard. This sound made the black-clothed man relax, because he couldn't feel much power from Lin Yi at all. It seemed that Lin Yi was just a normal person. He had thought too much. However, in the next moment, the black-clothed man was stunned. Because, from Lin Yi's palm, a huge wave of qi suddenly came, instantly entering his meridians. In an instant, he felt as if a wave of qi that could topple mountains and overturn the seas surged over, breaking all the meridians in the black-clothed man's body. "You're an early-stage Earth class." The man in black widened his eyes in disbelief. He didn't think that there would be an Earth class besides Su Shihan. Could it be that Feng Tianlin really valued Su Shihan that much? Thinking up to here, Feng Sanlei suddenly felt a little sad. He was the subordinate of Feng Tianlin's wife. The reason he came here was to secretly kill Su Shihan. This time, he got the news from the third son of Feng family, Feng Tianhu. He thought that without Feng Sanhuang, Feng Sanlei could easily kill Su Shihan, but Feng Sanlei smiled bitterly in his heart. He wanted to spread the news that there was a master besides Su Shihan, but he knew that it was just wishful thinking. In front of an Earth-class master, running away was just wishful thinking. Plus, if he was caught by Lin Yi, and if he were to be interrogated, then the situation would be unbearable. Thinking up to here, Feng Sanlei suddenly had a sudden burst of energy. He used all the strength in his body and slapped towards the remaining man in black, easily killing him. Then, he waved his hand and slapped towards his own face. Bang! The masked man's head was smashed by himself. His brain was broken beyond recognition, and his entire head had exploded. It was very disgusting. Lin Yi was secretly on guard. He was afraid that he would harm Su Shihan at the last moment, but he didn't think that this guy would kill his own people and then commit suicide. This kind of strange situation caught Lin Yi off guard. Originally, Lin Yi didn't kill him. Instead, he injured him to bring him back and interrogate him. He wanted to know who sent this guy. But this masked man was very decisive. He killed the only survivor of his own group and then committed suicide. It was a very cruel way to commit suicide. Looking at the mask of the masked man, and then looking at his broken head, Lin Yi vaguely guessed his purpose. He masked his face, which meant that he didn't want anyone to see or recognize him. He committed suicide in this way to destroy his own head so that no one would be able to recognize him. This person was very loyal. As for the other small fries who weren't practitioners, they probably weren't important people. He wouldn't be able to find anything from their faces. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. It seemed that he was a bit careless. He only thought about Su Shihan's safety. He didn't think that the masked man would commit suicide. But it was already like this. Lin Yi couldn't do anything. Although it happened very fast, almost 2 to 3 minutes, Lin Yi saw the cars coming from behind and behind. He didn't dare to delay anymore. He ran to the 2 Audi A6 in front of the car and slapped them to the side of the road. Then he quickly jumped into the Grand Cherokee and stepped on the accelerator. Su Shihan's face was very pale. Although she was in the car, she heard everything that happened outside. She also knew that these 4 people came for her. But who sent these 4 people? What was their purpose? Although Su Shihan had experienced similar kidnappings before, it wasn't as thrilling as this. The criminals' plans were all killed in the cradle by the police, and the people she faced weren't as vicious as this. In the end, they chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way. You're not scared, right? Lin Yi, on the other hand, had been through too many dangerous situations. What happened just now wasn't dangerous at all in his eyes. He'd even been stopped by the blood-clothed Yellow Springs sect before, and he'd even been beaten by 3 Earth Class Book C Pavilion equals. Therefore, what happened just now seemed too ordinary. It's okay. Su Shirhan patted her chest. Her chest rose and fell, but it betrayed her true thoughts. She was indeed very nervous. Who did you offend recently? Lin Yi asked. These people are obviously coming for you. I offended anyone? I don't think so. Su Shirhan shook her head. If you want to talk about a sinner, it would be Dr. Kang's medical company. Last time, I attended your product launch. Other than that, I didn't offend anyone. Kang family impossible. Lin Yi denied this possibility. If they want to find someone, they should be looking for me. Plus, they wouldn't send such a weak person. Then I really can't think of who I offended. Su Shirhan seriously thought about it. Forget it, don't think about it. Give me that Feng Sanhuang's number. Lin said, Feng Sanhuang? Why do you want his number? Su Shirhan was dazed. He's your driver. He follows you everywhere you go. I'll ask him to help me think. Lin Yi didn't say much to Su Shirhan. Intuition told Lin Yi that Feng Sanhuang should be the person protecting Su Shirhan. The masked man also said that he didn't think that there would be someone protecting Su Shirhan here. In other words, Su Shirhan also had someone protecting her over there. The only possibility was Feng Sanhuang. So, Lin Yi planned to tell this to Feng Sanhuang. He wanted him to investigate and see if Su Shirhan had offended anyone. Oh, okay. Su Shirhan didn't think much about it. She nodded and told Lin Yi Feng Sanhuang's number. Lin Yi wrote down the number. He didn't call in front of Su Shirhan. Instead, he called Yang Huaijuan. Captain Eagle, are you looking for me? Huaijuan picked up the phone. Chapter 1979. Yup, Junzi, just now on the airport highway, 4 Audi cars intercepted me. 2 of them were killed by me, and the other 2 committed suicide. Bring some men to control these corpses first. I'm afraid they'll destroy the evidence. Lin Yi said worriedly. Since the masked man could commit suicide in such a way, Lin Yi was afraid that there would be people coming to take the bodies away. What? Someone blocked you? Huaijuan paused. What's going on? Which force is it? Noble House or... If it's someone from Noble House, it's best to let the investigation department do it. I don't know yet, but they're mystic late phase peak. Lin Yi said. Then I'll tell Captain Feng Tianlong, there's a practitioner, they should be the ones to deal with it, Huaijuan said. All right, Lin Yi nodded. Shirhan, on the other hand, was confused. She didn't know what a mystic late phase peak was. What was a practitioner? She'd never come into contact with these things before. She'd heard Meng Yao and Yushu talking about Xiaoxiao before and Tang Yun. Shirhan sighed as she thought of this girl. He drove Shirhan to the hotel, and no one blocked them on the way. It seemed like there were only 4 cars blocking them, but Lin Yi didn't let his guard down. He parked the car below the hotel, preparing to send Shirhan up personally. He was the one who invited Shirhan, so Lin Yi had the responsibility to protect her. Whether or not these people came for Shirhan, Lin Yi had to protect her. If something happened, even Lin Yi wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Right, how are you so strong? Shirhan was still in a state of fear, and now that she calmed down, she finally remembered. How was Lin Yi so strong? Not only did he kill 2 of them silently, but the other 2 were killed by his accomplice, and the other one committed suicide? It's all right, Lin Yi said faintly. When we get to the room, it's best not to mention these things. And don't worry, your classmate is here, I won't say anything. Su Shirhan nodded. Lin Yi wanted to tell Chung Yi not to talk about it, but after thinking about it, he didn't say anything. After all, she was Su Shirhan's junior apprentice sister. It was their own business. The 2 walked into the hotel lobby. Su Shirhan took out her phone and called Cheng Yi. Senior sister? Have you arrived? Cheng Yi was surprised to hear Su Shirhan's voice. The radio just said there was a series of car accidents on the highway. Didn't you guys get stuck in traffic? We didn't. Su Shirhan hesitated but didn't say anything. After all, Zhang Duopan was Lin Yi's classmate. That's good. You scared me to death. I was still scared at the time. How good would it be if you took our car? Su Shirhan said. It's fine. Shirhan smiled. Which room are you in? I'll go up now. I'm in room 1108. You guys can take the elevator up, Cheng Yi said. Lin Yi and Su Shirhan got in the elevator and went all the way to Cheng Yi's room. What surprised Lin Yi was that Zhang Duopan wasn't in room 1108. Instead, he got a room in room 1105. Obviously, Qing Yi didn't want him in her room. If she wanted to talk, she would go to his room 1105. But Zhang Duopan was rich, so he didn't mind. You go in, I won't go. I'll wait for you outside. Lin Yi saw this and didn't follow. Okay. Su Shihan also knew Qing Yi's temper. Her room was usually only used by a few close sisters in the company and her manager. There was no one else. Lin Yi glanced at Zhang Duopan in the opposite room. The kid was on the phone. He didn't care about him. He turned and walked to the safe passage at the end of the corridor and called Feng Sanhuang. Hello, who are you looking for? Feng Sanhuang looked at the unfamiliar number and asked politely. Feng Sanhuang? Lin Yi asked. It's me, you are? Feng Sanhuang was secretly on guard. This person knew his name, but he still didn't know his identity. This person was definitely someone he wasn't familiar with, and it was impossible that Feng Sanhuang didn't have the phone number of someone he was familiar with, and it was impossible that he couldn't recognize his voice. Su Shihan's bodyguard? Lin Yi continued to ask. Who are you? Feng Sanhuang was even more shocked. No one knew that he was Su Shihan's bodyguard. Even Su Shihan herself didn't know about it. So when Lin Yi revealed his identity, he panicked a little. It seems like my guess was right. Lin Yi said, I'm Lin Yi. Earlier at the airport, there was a Mystic Class late phase peak who attacked us. I crippled him. I wanted to bring him back for interrogation, but he committed suicide. The way he did it was very disgusting. As he spoke, Lin Yi told Feng Sanhuang what happened. Feng Sanhuang was relieved when he heard that it was Lin Yi. Lin Yi saw through his strength and knew that he was Su Shihan's bodyguard. But what shocked him was that there was someone who intercepted Su Shihan. And in this period of time, Lin Yi seemed to have gotten even stronger. He could easily cripple a Mystic Class late phase peak. The last time he saw him, he was weaker than him. He wasn't even at the peak of Mystic Class late phase peak. But now, I didn't expect this. Brother Lin, thank you so much. Feng Sanhuang said gratefully. My flight tonight is to Donghai City. Please take care of Miss Su's safety. Please. When Feng Sanhuang knew that Su Shihan was coming to East Ocean City on his own, he booked a plane ticket with her. However, he was still one flight behind Su Shihan. Su Shihan's flight was at noon, and he was going to take the night flight. He didn't expect that something would happen in such a short time. He was sent by Feng Tianlin to protect Su Shihan. If Su, book Ocean Pavilion, soonest update if equals. If something happened to Shihan, even if Feng Sanhuang died, he wouldn't be able to escape the blame. So he called Lin Yi brother Lin. Of course, this was also because of Lin Yi's increase in strength. To be able to cripple a Mystic Class late phase peak meant that Lin Yi was at least at the peak of Mystic Class late phase peak. You're coming too? That's great. You can go investigate these people's background. Lin Yi said. As for Su Shihan's safety, you don't need to worry. With me by her side, nothing will happen. Alright, thanks for the trouble. Feng Sanhuang said respectfully again. Target equals, Henchai. Chapter 1980. Then I'll hang up first. Book C Pavilion. Lin Yi listened to Feng Sanhuang's pleading tone. He had no doubt that he was the one protecting Su Shihan in the dark, but which force did he belong to? Why was he protecting Su Shihan? What was Su Shihan's identity? Of course, this had nothing to do with Lin Yi, and Lin didn't want to know at the moment. He and Su Shihan could only be considered as good friends at the moment. It wasn't convenient for him to ask. Not long after Lin Yi hung up, Su Shihan also came out. She came out with Qing Yi. Lin Yi, let's go to school to rehearse. Don't waste time, Yi is going too. Su Shihan waved to Lin. Okay. Lin Yi walked over quickly. Zhang Duopan also came out of his room at this time. He didn't expect to see Fan Ganhe in his room. He just came. Lin Yi didn't see him before. Zhang Duopan was a bit annoyed when he saw Lin Yi, but Fan Ganhe was even more annoyed. He liked Wang Xinyan. Naturally, he wouldn't give Lin Yi any face. From Fan Ganhe's point of view, Lin Yi was the typical type of bastard who stood in the toilet but didn't shit. He always said that he had nothing to do with Wang Xinyan, but when they went out, they were still very close. Isn't this Lin Yi? Why didn't you bring Wang Xinyan? Could it be that you want to be alone with the superstar, and don't want anyone else? Fan Ganha saw Lin Yi and wanted to say something sarcastic. Oh. Lin Yi responded he didn't even look at him. Fuck. Fan Ganha was infuriated. This was blatant disregard. Quarrel with people. He wasn't afraid of people scolding him back. He was afraid that people wouldn't even care about him, and his efforts would be in vain. He wanted to say something, but Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were already walking towards the elevator. Fan Ganha gritted his teeth, but it was useless. Whatever, Ganha, there will be plenty of opportunities to deal with this kid. I plan to invite Himeyue and her roommates to Tiger Park this weekend. We'll think of a way to humiliate them. Zhang Duopan sneered. He had no chance of winning at the freshman party, but he didn't plan to give up on Himeyue, so he had to proceed to the next step. Listen to Brother Zhang. When the time comes, think of a way to teach them a lesson. Fan Ganha nodded. In the teaching building of the biology department, in the classroom of the medicine department, the students were rehearsing the actions in the music video in full swing. Annie walked in with Su Shirhan. Shirhan, Shirhan, Shirhan. Shirhan, Shirhan, Su, Shirhan, Zhou, Shan, up, Shirhan. Seeing how serious everyone was, Su Shirhan was a little surprised. She originally thought that it would be very difficult to bring a group of non-professional students to recreate the scene of the music video, but now it seemed that a lot of people were already doing it well. Bai Weidua also felt someone coming, but he didn't pay attention. He raised his head and saw a fully armed girl next to Lin. Su Shirhan? He paused for a moment, but immediately guessed what was going on. Hello everyone. Shirhan smiled and waved at Bai Weidua when she saw that someone recognized her. Hearing this heavenly voice, all the boys who were rehearsing stopped what they were doing. When they saw the person at the door, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. Someone cheered, Su Shirhan is here. Su Shirhan is here, it's really Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan, I love you so much, Linny sweated. He quickly locked the classroom door. If the other students found out, they wouldn't need to rehearse anymore. They'd all come to see the celebrity. Everyone quiet down. You guys are so loud. The students from the other classes would probably hear it. At that time, Feng Qiu at that time, I'm afraid we won't be able to rehearse anymore. Shirhan smiled and made a shushing gesture. Needless to say, the power of a celebrity was not just for show. Just one gesture and the noisy classroom quieted down. Su Shirhan, hello, I'm the class leader of the medical course, Bai Weidua. I'm also Brother Lin's follower. Bai Weidua ran in front of Shirhan and introduced himself. Hello. Since you're the class leader, tell me, how's your rehearsal going? In order to save time, I'll see your progress first and then decide on the next step, okay? Shirhan heard that Bai Weidua was Lin Yi's follower, so her attitude towards him was very gentle, which made Bai Weidua feel very flattered. Shirhan didn't have the air of a celebrity at all. This surprised all the students. They didn't expect Lin Yi to be so powerful. Not only did he invite Shirhan, but she was also very polite and kind. Even Right Coiling Tiger was very jealous. He cursed in his heart. What kind of ability did this Lin Yi have to make Shirhan look at him in a different light? Okay, I'll tell you now. Bai Weidua quickly nodded. Lin Yi didn't listen to Bai Weidua's introduction anymore. He went back to his seat. The rehearsal had nothing to do with him anymore. Lin Yi didn't care. You don't follow celebrities? Lin Yi looked at Wang Xinyan in surprise. He realized that every time he saw her, she was always so quiet. Quiet like a pool of water, without any emotion. From the moment Lin Yi entered the classroom, Wang Xinyan had been flipping through the textbook in front of her. When Lin Yi sat down, she only raised her head and smiled at Lin. Then, she continued reading. I like her songs. Most of the songs in my MP3 are her songs, but Idols Xinyan shook her head, a little regretful. I want to, but I don't have that much time to waste. I want to enjoy my university life as much as I can with the limited time I have. Limited time? Lin Yi was startled. He remembered the engagement between her and Zhaolong. He opened his mouth to say something, but closed it again. What identity should he use to make Wang Xinyan reject the engagement with House Kong? There are some things that you can't fight against. When you can't fight against it, you can only accept your fate. Wang Xinyan's expression seemed calm, but Lin Yi knew that not many people would be calm in this kind of situation. But Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He could only take it one step at a time. If he could destroy House Kong as soon as possible, Wang Xinyan would be able to relax a lot. What surprised Lin Yi was that Han Jingjing was also lying on the table, studying something. She was writing and drawing on the notebook in front of her. There were a lot of numbers and formulas. It made Lin Yi dizzy. To be continued. If you like this work, I welcome you to come to Starting Point and vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1981. This girl can't be an alien, right? How can her thoughts be so weird? Lin Yi shook his head and didn't bother with her. Lin Yi was afraid that if he asked a random question, it would attract more questions. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Zhang Duopan was from the economics department. At this moment, his class was also busy rehearsing. But Zhang Duopan wasn't in a good mood. In comparison, his classmates were quite happy. Although they couldn't perform with a top star like Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi was still a rising star. Even if they couldn't get first place, getting second place was already quite an honor. Many classes wanted to get into the top 10 but couldn't. Because they didn't have a bet with Zhang Duopan, they were more relaxed. On the other hand, Zhang Duopan was depressed. He originally wanted to play a supporting role, but he didn't want to anymore. Going up was equivalent to embarrassing himself. It was better to be an inconspicuous cameo. Fan Ganhe didn't participate in his class's program. He was Zhang Duopan's follower, so naturally, he would follow Zhang Duopan. Zhang bro, how about tonight, I find a gunny sack and put it on by Weida's head. We'll beat him until he can't take care of himself. That way, he won't go on stage and the program won't be his anymore. Doesn't that mean we'll win? Fan Ganhe suggested. What do you mean by can't take care of himself? Are you stupid? If he gets beaten up, the first suspects will be us. When the school investigates, we won't be able to escape punishment. We have to think before we do things. Zhang Duopan wasn't stupid. He directly rejected Fan Ganhe's suggestion. Bai Weiduo is a freshman. He just came to the school. If there's a conflict, it's with us. Do you think everyone else is stupid? Fan Ganhe really couldn't think of any other way to win the competition. Don't think about the competition. A loss is a loss. Zhang Duopan had already accepted it and didn't want to think about it anymore. An afternoon of rehearsal passed just like that, and at night, Cheng Yi asked Su Shirhan to go shopping. It was the first time for both of them to come to East Ocean City, and they hadn't shopped in East Ocean City yet. Su Shirhan didn't want to go. After all, something terrible had just happened. However, she didn't want to tell Cheng Yi, so she hesitated and decided to ask Lin. When Lin Yi received Su Shirhan's call, he had just sent Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao back and entered the villa with Miss and Shu. Miss Su, what's the matter? Lin Yi saw that it was Su Shirhan's call and picked it up. How many times have I told you, call me Xiao Han or Su Shirhan? Isn't calling me Miss Su too distant? Su Shirhan didn't like the way Lin Yi addressed her. Okay Xiao Han, Lin Yi said. Cheng Yi wants to go shopping with me, but that thing happened on the highway, I'm a bit worried. Su Shirhan said, I don't really want to go, but I don't want her to be a wet blanket. Oh, then I'll go with you guys. Wait for 10 minutes, Feng Sanhuang will be here. He'll rent a business car and we'll go together, Lin Yi said. Feng brother is coming too? Su Shirhan was startled. She didn't know why Lin Yi called Feng Sanhuang, but Lin Yi took Feng Sanhuang's phone number before, so it must be Lin Yi who called Feng Sanhuang. We'll go together later. Lin Yi couldn't reject Su Shirhan's request. After all, he was the one who invited Su Shirhan. Not only was he the host, but he also didn't spend a single cent of his appearance fee, so it was a bit unreasonable if he didn't act as a temporary bodyguard. Okay, we'll wait for you at the hotel, Su Shirhan said. Go shopping? Go shopping? I want to go too. Yushu eavesdropped on Lin Yi's phone call. Is it with Xiao Han sis? Can we go? The miss was also a bit tempted. Forget it this time, let's talk about it next time, I'll go with you guys alone. It was the first time Lin Yi rejected the Miss and Shu's request. He briefly told them about what happened on the highway earlier in the afternoon. That's scary? Meng Yao and Yu Shu's faces changed. So I'm afraid that there will be danger at night. If you guys go, I'm afraid that I won't be able to protect you. Lin Yi said, these people are obviously coming for Su Shirhan. And then we won't go. Lin Yi, be careful. Meng Yao naturally wouldn't pester him anymore. Xiao Han sis is your guest, don't let her get hurt. Ancient House Feng. A middle-aged woman with a gloomy face sat in front of Feng Tianhu. Although this woman was old, she was still attractive. There was an indescribable noble aura around her. Her identity was obviously not ordinary, but her face was very ugly at the moment. Tianhu, Sanlei is dead. You know, he is the most powerful master in my hands. The strength I have is limited. Your second brother is always on guard against me. I have no way to control the other masters, but the only master is actually dead. The middle-aged woman said bitterly. Second sister-in-law, that little girl has a master in Donghai City. I really didn't expect this. Feng Tianhu smiled bitterly. What do we do now? If your second brother comes after me, what should I do? The middle-aged woman obviously didn't have much of an idea. She was the kind of person who was impulsive and reckless. This didn't match her noble appearance at all, and now San Huang has gone to Donghai City. In reality, she didn't have any ulterior motives. She was a rich young mistress. Marrying into House Feng was just a marriage alliance. Haha, actually, you don't have to worry. Once Su Shirhan is dead, there will be no evidence. I think second brother won't pursue it anymore, Feng Tianhu said faintly. Oh, so you already have a backup plan? The middle-aged woman asked. That's right. I've already sent Feng Erbiang. Even if San Huang goes, it'll be a waste. It'll only take a few minutes to kill him, Feng Tianhu said indifferently. Feng Erbiang? Earth class mid-phase? You can use a second-generation disciple of House Feng? The middle-aged woman widened her eyes in disbelief. Ha, who doesn't have a trump card? Not only me, second brother probably has one too. Feng Tianhu sighed. If it wasn't to help you this time, I wouldn't want to reveal my trump cards so early. You have to keep it a secret for me. Chapter 1982. That's not a problem. The middle-aged woman didn't even think about it. In her eyes, fighting in the family wasn't important. Killing Feng Tianlin's mistress and little bastard was the most important thing. One had to say that Feng Tianlin's failure was marrying such a brainless and unruly woman. Although he had the support of her family, she didn't help him wholeheartedly and kept creating trouble for him. For someone like Feng Tianlin, who was the heir of an ancient house, who didn't have multiple wives and concubines. But his first love's flesh and blood had to be sneaky, and he couldn't even see her. This made Feng Tianlin very frustrated. He was a little envious of his big brother's choice back then. He didn't care about anything and just ran away from the marriage and married a woman from the common world, cutting off all ties with the ancient House Feng. He, on the other hand, didn't want to disappoint his father, and for his big brother's safety, he married this woman who was supposed to be his big brother's fiancée. What Feng Tianlin didn't expect was that this woman was really unruly, willful, and jealous. He didn't know where she got the news that he had a mistress and a daughter outside, but she actually brought people to kill him. His wife was nowhere to be found, and his daughter was only found many years later after much effort. Feng Tianlin hated his wife to the core. Although she was his wife, he didn't have any feelings for her. He still loved his first love, Su Shirhan's mother. Feng Tianlin knew that his wife had gone to kill him, but he didn't do anything. Instead, he chose to endure it, because he knew that this was most likely caused by his third brother, Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu had always coveted the position of the young master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for such detailed information to be known by only a few close brothers. However, as Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Nidian, gradually revealed his talent, the old man placed more and more importance on Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu's power in House Feng was also growing, and this made Feng Tianlin even more cautious. He could only continue to endure until the day he truly controlled House Feng. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone anymore. Considering the many years of marriage and the face of their son, Feng Tianlin wouldn't do anything to his wife, but he definitely wouldn't force a smile to serve her every day like now. The first thing Feng Tianlin had to do after he became the head of the family was to bring his daughter back and announce to the public that she was his daughter. Moreover, he would find his older brother and bring him back to the Feng family. Although his older brother had been kicked out of the family by his father, a new ruler brought his own ministers. His father was the head of the family, and now he, Feng Tianlin, was the head of the family. Feng Tianlin's relationship with his older brother was the best. Although they didn't share the same mother, they were closer than real brothers. This was also one of the important reasons why Feng Tianlin married his current wife in place of his older brother. If he didn't marry her, his father would blame his eldest brother even more and might even kill him. And this was what Feng Tianhu hoped for. He hoped that this marriage would be broken, and that his father would kill his older brother while his second brother would plead for mercy. This way, both of them would lose trust and both of them would be finished. His third brother would naturally take over. So, for his older brother, in order to prevent his third brother's plan from succeeding, Feng Tianlin gritted his teeth and persevered for so many years. However, Feng Tianhu, because of his son, Feng Ninian, seemed to be on the same level as him. This made Feng Tianlin's life more and more difficult. But not long ago, Feng Tianlin received a great news. Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Tianhu, was acting tough during the Ice Palace's test. He used his title of strongest below Earth class and was beaten into a cripple by an even stronger, strongest below Earth class. Feng Tianlin knew that his chance had come again. Although to House Feng, Feng Nitian's death wasn't a good thing, to Feng Tianlin, it was a good thing. However, Feng Tianlin didn't know that his wife was working with Feng Tianhu to deal with Su Shihan. So, when Feng Tianlin received Feng Sanwang's call, he was shocked. What did you say? Someone was on the airport highway, trying to deal with Shihan? Feng Tianlin panicked. Yes, master, but Miss Su's friend took care of it. It's a mystic late phase peak master. San Huang told Feng Tianlin everything that had happened. What? Mystic late phase peak? Feng Tianlin was even more shocked. This was the first time that Su Shihan was attacked by such a powerful cultivator. Although there were kidnappings and robberies in the past, those were only done by some small gangs. This time, it was obviously not that simple. Plus, these men in black chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way after they failed. They obviously didn't want to expose their identity. Who sent them? Could it be his wife? Or his third brother? Thinking of this, Feng Tianlin's heart skipped a beat. Su Shihan's identity was a secret. Although he found Su Shihan, he never acknowledged her. How did his wife and brother know about it? Do you know who did it? Feng Tianlin asked. I'm not sure yet. I just arrived at Donghai City. I heard that the bodies were taken away by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I need to find someone I know. I don't know if they can see it. Feng Sanhuang said. Although the ancient noble houses had absolute power, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau might not give them face. It was a complicated organization. If there's no other way, forget it. Feng Tianlin wanted to say something but shook his head. In this situation, he couldn't contact that person before he had a firm foothold. If he did, it would be against the family rules. Feng Tianhu would be looking for trouble. Okay, master, I'll try my best. Feng Sanhuang said. When Lin Yi arrived at the hotel, Feng Sanhuang was there as well. He was driving a Buick GL8. Seeing Lin Yi, Feng Sanhuang jumped out. Brother Lin, thank you for today. Feng Sanhuang actually bowed to Lin Yi this time. Lin Yi paused. He felt that Sanhuang's words had exceeded a normal bodyguard's. Even if he was Su Shihan's bodyguard, he didn't need to go through all this formalities. Mr. Feng, Han came to my place, and it's my duty to protect her. There's no need to thank me, but I see that you seem to care a lot about Su Shihan? You like her? Chapter 1983. Book Ocean Pavilion Chapter 1995. Being followed. Ahem. Sanhuang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the first half of the sentence, but the second half made him choke. I was actually asked by someone to protect Miss Su, but it's a secret kind of protection that Miss Su doesn't know about. In Miss Su's eyes, I'm just a normal chauffeur and bodyguard, not a practitioner, so please keep it a secret, Brother Lin. Sanwang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the second half. Oh, I get it, you're the celebrity's bodyguard. Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all after hearing Sanwang's words, because he was the school beauty's bodyguard. It was just that the nature of his job was different from Sanwang's. Lin Yi was in the light, and Sanhuang was in the dark. You can say that. Sanhuang saw that Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all, and felt that Lin Yi wasn't a normal person. Brother Lin, if I may be so bold, your current strength, Earth class. Lin Yi didn't hide it, but he didn't say whether it was early, mid, or late stage Earth class. After all, Sanhuang and Lin Yi weren't that close, and Lin Yi didn't want to say too much. Hiss. Sanhuang took a deep breath. The last time he saw Lin Yi, he was still a peak mid-mystic class, and now he was an Earth class? Thinking back to what Lin Yi had said to him, don't think that just because you're a peak late mystic class, you can talk big in front of me. Could it be that Lin Yi was an Earth class back then, but he suppressed his strength to peak mid-mystic class, and not an Earth class? If that was the case, then why did he shamelessly threaten Lin Yi? Feng Sanhuang blushed just thinking about it. No wonder Lin Yi wasn't afraid at all and directly threatened him back then. It turned out that he was suppressing his strength, of course. Feng Sanhuang didn't think that Lin Yi could jump from mystic mid-phase peak to Earth class in just a few months. That speed of leveling up was like riding a rocket. It would be amazing if he could break through a small class in just a few months. Brother Lin, I've offended you before. Miss Su's safety will be in your hands later. Feng Sanhuang's attitude towards Lin Yi was even more respectful. Lin Yi waved his hand and didn't say anything else. Instead, he pointed in the direction of the hotel and said, "They're out. Let's not talk about this anymore." Alright. Lin Yi's words were exactly what Feng Sanhuang wanted. Feng Sanhuang didn't want to discuss this in front of Su Shihan. Xiaohan. Lin Yi greeted Su Shihan. As for Qing Yi, Lin Yi only nodded to her. But Qing Yi didn't seem to mind. She didn't seem to like talking to Lin Yi. She pulled Su Shihan and got in the MPV. Lin Yi sat in the front passenger seat, and Feng Sanhuang naturally became the driver. Although Feng Sanhuang wasn't familiar with the terrain of Donghai City, he was Su Shihan's professional driver. He was very good at finding the way. He only needed to look at the GPS to know how to get there. He started the car and went straight to the busiest commercial street in Donghai City. On the way, Su Shihan and Qing Yi were discussing something. But Lin Yi wasn't interested in listening. It was mostly about how to make up, how to be beautiful, and how to have a good body. After a few turns, Feng Sanhuang arrived at the commercial street and parked the car in the parking lot nearby. I didn't expect Donghai City's commercial street to be so busy this late. Su Shihan looked at the street outside the car window and said in surprise. Donghai City is a provincial city. Naturally, there are a lot of shops that are open 24 hours. Lin said, "Thank you. It's so late, but you came out to shop with us. Sorry for disturbing your rest." Su Shihan said gratefully. Qing Yi frowned. It was a great honor for a normal person to be able to come out with a big star. Zhang Duopan wanted to come along, but she rejected him. Why was Su Shihan begging Lin? It's okay. Lin Yi and Feng Sanhuang walked behind Su Shihan and Qing Yi, as if they were their bodyguards. Su Shihan probably didn't have many opportunities to go shopping. Everything she saw was new. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Although celebrities seemed to be famous, they didn't have much time. Every day they just had to work and work. Qing Yi, on the other hand, had a lot of knowledge about brands and shops. She was the one who brought Su Shihan to shop. Feng Sanhuang, on the other hand, was very nervous. He was always on guard. His eyes kept looking around as if he was afraid of missing something. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at his seriousness. I say, Sanhuang, you don't have to be like this, right? Relax a bit. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Xiaohan will be fine, but you'll be so nervous. Brother Lin, I have to kill the danger in the cradle. Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. I'm different from you. I have to ensure Miss Su's safety. Especially after what happened today. It's okay. I'll watch for you. I'll tell you if there's any danger. Lin said. Although Lin said that, Feng Sanhuang saw that Lin Yi didn't seem to be on guard at all times. So, he didn't relax at all. From his point of view, Lin Yi was an outsider. No matter what, he wouldn't be very careful. Feng Sanhuang was different. Lin Yi looked at Feng Sanhuang and shrugged. He didn't say anything. Along the way, the four of them went to most of the shops on the street. Shirhan seemed to be especially addicted to shopping, including the shops that sold mobile cases, small accessories. She would go to all of them, even buying 1 or 2 small things before leaving reluctantly. This situation made Lin Yi sigh. Miss Su's work is actually very busy. Book Ocean Pavilion. She's a very hard-working person. She hasn't followed any unspoken rules. Her current results are all from her own efforts. Although I've helped her along the way, it's also related to her own purity. If she wants to abandon herself to vice, I can't do anything about it. Feng Sanhuang saw Lin Yi sigh. He knew what Lin Yi was thinking. He explained. Plus, she used to have headaches that could act up at any time. That's why she didn't have the chance to go shopping. Luckily you helped her, Lin Yi nodded. He didn't answer. He also felt that something was wrong. Lin Yi had been laughing at Sanhuang earlier, telling him not to be so careful, but now he felt as if he was being followed and watched. It was a feeling that came from the sixth sense he had when he was doing missions in the primeval forest. Book C Pavilion, target equals, _blank. Chapter 1984. Book C Pavilion. Because the jade didn't give any warning, it meant that either he was wrong, or the enemy was too far away, out of the jade's detection range. But Lin Yi was leaning towards the first possibility, because Lin Yi wouldn't be wrong about this feeling. Lin Yi took a deep breath, and started to be on high alert. But for the rest of the journey, this feeling was very faint, and the jade didn't give any warning. This feeling made Lin Yi very doubtful. Was there someone following him, or did they intend to harm him? After that, Lin Yi still couldn't find the person following him. Either this person was an absolute master, and could follow him from a distance, or he was too vigilant because of what happened during the day. There's beef noodles here too? Cheng Yi pointed at the signboard of an alley next to the pedestrian street. What do you like to eat this? Su Shirhan asked curiously. Yeah, I've liked to eat it since I was young. It's been a long time since I've had it. Cheng Yi said, No, I must go eat it today. Oh right, I forgot, your hometown seems to have this kind of noodles. Su Shirhan nodded. Since we're here, let's go eat a bowl? Okay. Cheng Yi nodded and said excitedly. But the alley looks dirty, and there's no one around. Can we eat this? Su Shirhan walked 2 steps and looked at the dark alley full of trash. She was a little hesitant. It's okay, I used to eat it when I was young. Cheng Yi said. Okay, then let's go try. Su Shirhan hesitated and decided to accompany her. Seeing the 2 of them going into the alley, Lin Yi instinctively felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know how to stop them. While he was hesitating, Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi had already walked into the alley. Lin Yi had no choice but to follow with Feng Sanhuang. Feng Sanhuang's expression became more cautious and vigilant. He wanted to dissuade her. Su Shirhan. Book C Pavilion. Why did they have to come to this kind of place? There were clearly a lot of snacks there, but they just had to eat noodles. However, this idea was suggested by Cheng Yi, and Feng Sanhuang wasn't her driver or bodyguard, so he couldn't say anything. The alleyway was very dark, there was no one and no light, there was a kind of eerie feeling. Su Shirhan was a little nervous. After all, this kind of eerie and dark scene reminded her of some bad memories. Su Shirhan subconsciously frowned and used both hands to press on her temples. Sister Han, what's wrong? Cheng Yi saw Su Shirhan's nervous face and quickly asked, Is your headache acting up again? Shirhan nodded and quickly took out a bottle of Miracle Dr. Guan painkiller from her bag and poured it into the bottle. Medium. Cheng Yi rubbed Su Shirhan's temples and said with concern, Han sis, why don't we stop eating, let's go back. Since you're here, let's go eat, don't spoil the mood. Su Shirhan forced a smile. It's fine, don't worry about me, but... Cheng Yi looked at Su Shirhan's frowning face, still a little worried. However, as the 2 were arguing, Lin Yi sneered. Since you're here, then come out, what's the point of hiding? Is this the behavior of an Earth-class mid-phase master? What? There's an enemy? Feng Sanhuang heard Lin Yi's words and jumped. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi were shocked as well. Two men in black came out from the darkness in front of the alleyway, but their faces were still covered with black masks, so people couldn't see their faces clearly. You're not simple. You can actually sense my presence, and you can even say my strength. Friend, which path are you on? I advise you not to get involved in this mess. It's none of your business here. One of the men in black was obviously afraid of Lin Yi, which was why he said these words. Of course, he was planning to ambush Lin Yi, but Lin Yi was able to see through his whereabouts. He was quite angry at Lin Yi, but he had other important things to do today, and he couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength, so he didn't want to cause more trouble. Moreover, he naturally wouldn't think that Lin Yi was tricking him to come out. After all, if Lin Yi could say his strength, it meant that he had already been discovered. In actuality, Lin Yi really didn't find any traces of this Earth-class mid-phase black-clothed man. It was through the jade that he found the movements of the other black-clothed man, a mystic late-phase peak master. Through this person, Lin Yi caught a faint trace of energy beside him, and that was how he found the black-clothed man. Why would I stand here if it's none of my business? Lin Yi looked at the man in black like he was looking at an idiot. If it's none of my business, why would I find your traces and say your strength? Do you think I have nothing better to do? You go deal with Su Shihan, I'll take care of this. The Earth-class man's face turned cold, and he ordered the mystic next to him. The black-clothed man nodded and flew towards Shihan, throwing a punch at her. Obviously, he wanted to kill Shihan with one punch. Lin Yi had been observing the reactions of these two, and when he saw the movements of the black-clothed man, he sneered, and his side also started to move. He used a bit of force in his legs and flew towards the mystic next to Su Shihan. In order to confuse the mystic in front of him, Lin Yi had been suppressing his strength, making it seem like he was only a mystic-class mid-phase peak. The purpose of this was to kill the mystic-class late-phase peak in one hit, and then he could focus on dealing with the Earth-class mid-phase master. Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning against someone 2 levels higher than him, and he was a bit nervous, so he had to kill all the uncertain factors in the cradle. Although Lin Yi wasn't afraid of this mystic late-phase peak, with him here, if Feng Sanhuang couldn't stop him and allowed him to attack Su Shihan, then Lin Yi would have to send a clone over to save her. He didn't have the confidence to win in the first place, and if that happened, then there would be even less of a chance. Although Lin Yi had fought many Earth-class masters before, Boss Yu had just entered the Earth-class and hadn't learned any martial arts yet, so Lin Yi was able to intimidate him when he was still a mystic, and the follower of Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi was having trouble dealing with him. If it wasn't for the Chi Bomb, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to deal with him so easily. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1985. Book C Pavilion Chapter 1997. Who will be the winner? As for the other 3 Earth-class warriors, Lin Yi used his fire poison chi to burn them to ashes. But this move could only be used once. It was impossible to use it a second time. The only thing Lin Yi could rely on now was the first 3 moves of the Frenzy Fist. He didn't know if it would be enough to fight against this Earth-class mid-phase man. The mystic late-phase peak looked at Lin Yi coldly. When he saw that Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak master, a trace of disdain appeared on his face. Since you're so eager to die, I'll fulfill your wish. As he said that, his target changed from Su Shihan to Lin. He raised his palms slightly as if waiting for Lin Yi to attack. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but in his eyes, Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak master, and he was a mystic late-phase peak master. The two of them were 2 whole levels apart. If he couldn't kill Lin Yi like that, then it would be strange. So, the mystic-class man in black looked at Lin Yi with pity in his eyes. In his eyes, Lin Yi was already a dead man. However, Lin Yi didn't seem to notice the danger at all. He still rushed towards the mystic. Not good. The Earth-class man's heart skipped a beat. He yelled at the mystic, "Careful! Don't fight him head-on." The Earth-class man felt that Lin Yi was a mystic mid-phase peak master, so he didn't put him in his eyes at first. But he suddenly thought that something wasn't right. If Lin Yi could tell that he was an Earth-class mid-phase master, then how could he not see that the mystic was a mystic late-phase peak master? If that was the case, then Lin Yi, a mystic mid-phase peak master, going to fight a mystic late-phase master head-on, wasn't there something wrong with his head? Either that or he was courting death. More importantly, how did Feng Sanlei die? Feng Sanhuang hadn't arrived at East Ocean City at that time. Even if he had arrived at East Ocean City, it wouldn't have been easy to kill Feng Sanlei. They were all disciples of the Feng family. What Feng Sanhuang knew, Feng Sanlei also knew. In this kind of situation, it was the most difficult to determine the winner and loser. Even if they couldn't win, staying alive was not a problem. And if Feng Sanlei could fall here, then Su Shihan must have a master beside her. However, since that expert wasn't Feng Sanhuang, the only one left was Lin. Su Shihan and Qing Yi couldn't be that powerful. So when he realized that something was wrong, the man in black immediately warned the man in black. However, he was too slow. The man in black still needed some time to react after hearing his words. At this time, Lin Yi's palm was already pressed on the man's palm. Too late. Lin Yi shouted coldly. With a loud bang, the man in black's body flew out like an arrow. After flying in the air for some distance, he crashed into the wall of the alley not far away. You're not Mystic Mid-Phase Peak. You're Earth Early Phase. This was the last thing the man in black said as he slid down the wall. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood, his vision went black, and he died. Despicable, how dare you trick me? The man in black's eyes were filled with anger. He wanted to burn Lin Yi to death. He didn't think that Lin Yi would use a method to hide his strength and kill one of his people first. Trick me? Lin Yi patted the dust off his hands and curled his lips. He's just too arrogant. Can't you see that? The man in black was speechless. He couldn't refute Lin Yi. Indeed, if Lin Yi were to trick him, it was because the man in black was too arrogant. If he had been more careful, he wouldn't have ended up like this. With that thought, the man in black took a deep breath and looked at Lin Yi with hatred. He pointed at Lin Yi and said, I don't care who you are. If you want to get involved in this mess, then don't leave. You and your family will pay the price of blood for your meddling. What did you say? Lin Yi frowned. A hint of hatred flashed across his eyes. This person dared to use his family to threaten him. This made Lin Yi's heart surge with rage. No matter what, he had to make this person stay here. Not for anything else, but for Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and all his friends. Hehe, when you're dead, I'll investigate your identity. I'll visit your friends and family one by one. The man in black smiled sinisterly. This is the consequence of killing my people. If that's the case, then it's either you die or I die. I won't rest until I die. Lin Yi looked at the man in black coldly, but his heart was filled with caution. This man was too evil. If Lin Yi didn't make him stay here, then what awaited him would be unbearable revenge. I won't rest until I die? You think you're worthy? The man in black said as his chi surged out of his body. His Earth-class mid-phase strength was on full display. We don't know who's going to die yet. It's too early for you to say that. Lin Yi took a deep breath and started channeling his practitioner's arts, showing off his Earth-class early phase strength. But early phase was still early phase, it wasn't the peak. Compared to the man in black, there was still a difference of 2 levels. The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi and Feng Sanhuang, deep in thought. Try Huang, take Xiaohan and the others and hide behind. Lin Yi could guess what the man in black was thinking. He moved his feet slightly and quietly stood in front of the man's attack. Just now, Lin Yi had ambushed one of the mystic black-clothed men, and he must have incurred the wrath of this Earth-class black-clothed man. So, he probably had the idea of getting rid of Feng Sanhuang first. This way, Su Shihan would have no one to protect her, and he could take advantage of the chaos to get rid of Su Shihan. After that, the mission would be completed. Book Ocean Pavilion, it was no longer a problem for him to fight to the death. But since Lin Yi saw through his thoughts, naturally he wouldn't let it happen. That's fine. Feng Sanhuang didn't want to be a deserter, but he knew that the difference in strength between him and his opponent was too big. Staying here was equivalent to being a hindrance to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi had to split his attention to take care of him and Su Shihan. There was no way he could win. So Feng Sanhuang only hesitated for a moment before quickly pulling Su Shihan and Cheng Yi to a place far behind Lin. The man in black was a bit annoyed that Lin Yi saw through his thoughts. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1986. Book C Pavilion, but from his point of view, it wasn't a big deal. If he couldn't sneak attack, then so be it. If he could take care of Lin Yi first, then wouldn't Feng Sanhuang and Su Shihan be in the bag? The earth-ranked black-robed man took a step forward and waved his left hand in the air, forming a layer of green mist around his left arm. The mist exuded a dense chill. It looked like he was cultivating some kind of water-type mental cultivation method, and it was paired with a snow-type martial skill. Water element, snow element. Looking at the man in black, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a trace of confusion. In his memory, he seemed to know someone who also practiced this water element technique, and it was related to the snow element technique. But as for who it was, Lin Yi couldn't remember at all. At the moment when Lin Yi was lost, the man in black had already activated his technique. Lin Yi's eyes blurred for a second, and then he saw the man in black rushing towards him. The green mist on his left fist was even clearer, and there were even specks of starlight on it. It should be the result of the crystallization of the mist. Ice Snow Thorn. With a roar from the man in black, the green mist on his left fist suddenly broke out of his body and turned into a light green sharp blade. With an incomparably fast speed, it stabbed towards Lin Yi's chest. Lin Yi was shocked and quickly returned to reality. If it wasn't for the jade's warning signal that suddenly became extremely strong, causing Lin Yi to subconsciously dodge, that light green ice blade would definitely hit Lin Yi's chest. Even if it didn't pierce through Lin Yi's heart, Lin Yi would still be heavily injured. It was also because of Lin Yi's subconscious dodge that the ice blade was dodged, but it still touched Lin Yi's arm and cut through Lin Yi's clothes, leaving a long wound on Lin Yi's arm. Su Shihan screamed. She didn't expect this person to be so powerful. He could shoot out ice blades with his bare hands. To her, this was unimaginable. It was like a stunt from a TV show. Miss Su, please don't disturb Brother Lin. At this moment, it's taboo to be distracted. Feng Sanhuang frowned as he reminded Lin Yi in a low voice. Even though he was not too optimistic about Lin Yi's chances, his opponent was too strong, and his martial technique was so ferocious. Feng Sanhuang thought that even if it was an expert of the same level, the chances of victory would not be too high. Not to mention Lin Yi, who was 2 levels lower than him. Okay. Shihan nodded seriously. What do we do? How can we help him? We can only wait. Feng Sanhuang wanted to tell them to run if the situation wasn't right, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. That's right, Sister Han. I think that since Lin Yi has risked his life for us, we can't run away by ourselves. That would be too disloyal. Cheng Yi was a very loyal person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to come to the freshman party because of Boss Zhang's request. Shihan nodded. She also felt that it wasn't a good time to run away by herself. After dodging the fierce attack, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. A serious look appeared on his face. The opponent's martial technique had reached a state where he could control it freely. Although Lin Yi could do the same, Lin Yi's martial technique was a fire element. Water and fire countered each other. It was hard to tell who would be the winner. If the opponent was a practitioner of other martial techniques, Lin Yi's chances of winning would be higher. But it just so happened that the opponent could counter his martial technique. This made Lin Yi a little depressed. This was the first time he faced such a high-level opponent, and it was an opponent that countered his martial technique. You have some skills? But this is only the first form. The Earth-class black-clothed man sneered. An icy mist condensed on his left fist again. This time, it looked even fiercer and more majestic than before. Just like what he said, what he used before was only the first form of his martial technique. There should be more to come. And now that he was an Earth-class mid-stage master, he should be able to use at least 3 forms of martial technique. He might even be able to use the 4th form. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He didn't dare to be careless. He could see that this was the 2nd form of the Earth-class black-clothed man's move. Because of the bone-chilling cold, Lin Yi was still fine. But Shirhan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. They couldn't help but shiver. So Lin Yi didn't even think about it. He directly used the second form of Frenzy Fist. In an instant, Lin Yi's fist was also wrapped in a ball of red flame. The high temperature made the cold autumn day feel warm. Shirhan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they were standing next to a bonfire. Fire element martial technique? If I'm not wrong, this shouldn't be the first form. Could it be the third form? The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be a fire element martial technique practitioner. Book Ocean Pavilion is a practitioner, and he's able to unleash the third form of his martial art at the early phase of Earth class. According to the normal training progress, one would normally be able to use the third form when they were about to break through to the mid-stage of Earth class. So far, he had only mastered 4 forms. That was because he was an Earth-class mid-stage master and had been famous for a long time. That was why he could use the 4th form. Even so, he was still considered a genius among his peers, but could it be that this guy was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Could it be that the early stage of Earth class wasn't his real strength? Thinking up to here, the Earth-class black-clothed man's eyes sharpened. He planned to exchange moves with Lin Yi and test out Lin Yi's strength. Of course, a battle between Earth-class masters didn't have as many concerns as a Mystic class. In a battle between Earth-class masters, martial techniques were the most important. He estimated that Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist should belong to the 3rd form. So he instantly changed his Freezing Snow Pierce into the 3rd form, planning to fight it head-on. The Frigid Snow Thorn was actually one of the more superior martial skills. Among the martial skills collected by the ancient Feng clan, it could be ranked among the top. Therefore, he was confident that if he encountered a martial skill of the same level, he would be able to gain the upper hand. So, the black-clothed man's left fist went straight for Lin Yi's right fist. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to explain too much to him. This Earth-class black-clothed man mistakenly thought that his 2nd form was the 3rd form. It seemed that Faubert's Frenzy Fist was indeed extraordinary. His 2nd form should be able to compete with the 3rd form of other martial techniques. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that the Earth-class black-clothed man would change his 2nd form into the 3rd form at the last moment, and it was too late for Lin Yi to change it. The 2 fists collided with a loud bang. The black-clothed man quickly took a few steps back, but Lin Yi's body was sent flying. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1987. Book C Pavilion. Lin Yi's body landed heavily on the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It looked like Lin Yi was badly injured, but in reality, Lin Yi didn't suffer any serious injuries. He just borrowed the strength of the man's skill to fly out, and didn't take it head-on. The Earth-class black-clothed man, on the other hand, didn't seem to have taken a few steps back, but he wasn't much better off than Lin Yi. His internal organs were shaken up as well. He hurriedly circulated his mental cultivation method without batting an eyelid, and only then did he quickly calm down. At this moment, Lin Yi also saw that although the Frenzy Fist was strong, and each style was a level higher than the other skills of the same level, if he used the 2nd style to fight against the 3rd style of the opponent, he would still be at a disadvantage. Especially when he was weaker than the opponent, and his chi wasn't as strong as the opponent, even if he used the same level skills, it would still be affected. Lin Yi quickly channeled the art of Dragon Mastery to heal his injuries while the man didn't move. He could also see that the opponent was also healing, but Lin Yi didn't choose to continue attacking at this time. If the two were to fight head-on, then the one at a disadvantage would still be Lin Yi because Lin Yi's strength wasn't as strong as the opponent, so this kind of fighting style gave Lin Yi an advantage. The art of Dragon Mastery could heal injuries infinitely, but the opponent was only calming his injuries, and couldn't recover in a short period of time. This time, Su Shirhan didn't dare to disturb Lin Yi, so she covered her mouth with her hand, but she was worried for Lin, again. After Lin Yi healed his injuries, he didn't give the opponent a chance to rest anymore. He used the 3rd style of the Frenzy Fist and rushed towards the man like lightning. The place where his fist passed through formed a long fire dragon, and the air resistance formed a long howl, die. The man didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to fight head-on, and he couldn't believe it. because through the head-on collision, he had already figured out Lin Yi's strength. Although Lin Yi's skills were overbearing and he didn't know how he practiced it to the third style, his internal strength was definitely only at the early stage of the Earth class. Although he was stronger than the normal early stage of the Earth class, he should be breaking through soon, but he definitely wasn't at the peak of the early stage of the Earth class. From the result of the collision, it could be seen that Lin Yi's strength was obviously weaker than the Earth class black-clothed man, because the black-clothed man didn't even take a few steps back, but Lin Yi, on the other hand, was sent flying. This was a completely different level of strength. And to fight head-on in this situation, wasn't it the same as looking for death? Although he wouldn't die in one hit, a few more hits would probably kill him, so the man was very confused. What was this Lin Yi thinking? In fact, it wasn't that Lin Yi was looking for death, but because Lin Yi had no other way. The only thing Lin Yi could rely on was his advantage of being able to heal quickly. If he could use his martial skills to continuously clash with the man, and have enough time for Lin Yi to recover, then Lin Yi was confident that he could make the man stay. But whether or not it would be like Lin Yi wanted was unclear. The fourth style? How is that possible? How could it be the fourth style? The man wanted to use the third style again to fight against Lin Yi, but found that Lin Yi actually used the fourth style. It should be known that the consumption of true qi for each style increased exponentially. Under normal circumstances, under the circumstances that the level wasn't very high, using the most powerful style would consume a lot of true qi in the body. For example, if the man was a mid-earth class master, he could only use the fourth style 10 times or so before he would be exhausted. As for an early earth class master like Lin Yi, it would be good if he could use the second style 10 times, let alone the third or fourth style. Therefore, with regards to Lin Yi's fourth style, the man was very surprised. He didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do, but one thing was for sure, Lin Yi wanted to fight head-on. The earth-class black-clothed man felt a wave of depression. He also changed the third style to the fourth style and used it against Lin Yi. He actually didn't want to waste time on Lin Yi. His target was Su Shihan. The words he said before were to threaten Lin Yi and make Lin Yi say some soft words and leave, but he didn't expect it to have the opposite effect. This guy didn't care about his life at all. Pang! Lin Yi looked at the ice mist on the man's left hand that suddenly became even sharper. Lin Yi's heart slightly shivered, but he still clenched his teeth and faced it head-on. Facing an Earth-class master who was a higher level than him, Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning. If it was just one level higher, Lin Yi could see that he could use Frenzy Fist to defeat him. If the Earth-class black-clothed man didn't practice his fourth form, then Lin Yi could totally use the third form, Frenzy Fist, to defeat him, because the third form, Frenzy Fist, was infinitely close to other people's fourth form. But this Earth-class black-clothed man was 2 levels higher than Lin Yi, and he practiced the fourth form, Cold Snow Pierce. Lin Yi could barely fight him to a draw, and it was very difficult. When he was in the Mystic class, the feeling of killing his opponent in a second was almost non-existent. This made Lin Yi very unhappy and depressed. The feeling of going from the strongest under Earth class to the weakest under Heaven class made Lin Yi want to vomit blood. The flames of the fiery fist clashed with the ice mist of the icy snow spike, forming a huge energy collision. Lin Yi's body flew back once more, but of course, the Earth-class black-clothed man wasn't having it easy either. After all, the third style that Lin Yi used was infinitely close to his fourth style. This kind of head-on collision, Lin Yi already suffered internal injuries. How could he have it easy? Book Ocean Pavilion, his internal organs had changed positions, causing him to vomit a mouthful of black blood. It was obvious that he had suffered the same serious internal injuries as Lin Yi. The man in black was so angry that he wanted to curse. It was obvious that Lin Yi's strength was much weaker than his, but he could still use the fourth style of martial arts. This kind of head-on collision was a method of mutual destruction. In the end, whoever had the stronger Jin Qi would have the advantage. It was completely at the cost of one's own injury in exchange for the other's death. Lin Yi naturally didn't have it easy either. This move brought much more damage than the previous one. Lin Yi continuously vomited 4 or 5 mouthfuls of blood, and his face became very pale. Book Ocean Pavilion. Chapter 1988. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2000. The gap was huge, but as soon as Linny landed, he didn't waste any time and quickly entered the jade space to heal and replenish his energy. As for the man in black, he didn't dare to attack Linny. He had to adjust his breathing first. He was afraid that Lin-Yi would counterattack him if he tried to attack Lin-Yi. So since Lin-Yi was adjusting his breathing, he also took the opportunity to adjust his breathing. At this time, both sides had a tacit understanding to not attack each other. This was because the qi in their bodies wasn't flowing smoothly. They also knew that if they attacked each other now, they would both die. So no one did anything stupid. After a few moments of adjustment, the man in black let out a long breath and sneered at Lin-Yi. "What? Brat, you just barely managed to activate the fourth move of the martial skill. Are you unable to stand up? You've lost a lot of qi and become a soft-footed shrimp? Then I won't be polite. You can go die now." Lin-Yi didn't want to waste any time. Even if he could heal and replenish his qi in the jade space, it wouldn't make up for the loss of his qi. His internal injuries could only be healed by half. So Lin-Yi waited for the man in black to finish his sarcastic words before reluctantly returning to reality. He stood up lazily and looked at the man in black. "Oh, I've actually recovered a long time ago. I just sat on the ground for a while. I thought you wouldn't make it this time. So you're not dead yet? Then let's go again." As Lin-Yi said this, he continued to use the third move, Frenzy Fist. The man in black had just finished adjusting his breathing and hadn't thought about what to do next when he saw Lin using the fourth move again. He almost died. He thought to himself, "You don't want to live anymore? You've suffered such serious internal injuries in the previous head-on clash, and you still want to fight head-on? Can't you just exchange a few moves before using the martial skill? Even if you don't mind the lack of Jinqi, I do." However, thinking about it was just thinking about it. Lin-Yi's fist had already arrived. The Earth Stage black-clothed man could only grit his teeth and receive it. Otherwise, he would probably be crippled by Lin-Yi. Even a mystic mid-phase peak master wouldn't dare stand there and let the opponent hit him. That would definitely cripple him. Bang! Another violent collision resounded, and the two men's bodies were once again blasted apart by the huge amount of true qi. Lin-Yi was once again sent flying, and this time, the Earth-ranked man in black was in a much worse state than the previous two times. His internal injuries had not yet recovered, so when he collided head-on with Lin-Yi, he didn't just take a few steps back. Instead, he took a few steps back, all the way to the corner of the wall behind him. Only then did he manage to hold onto the wall and stabilize himself. But this time, he spat out 2 mouthfuls of black blood. Naturally, Lin-Yi wasn't much better. It was also more serious than the last time. He was still sent flying, landed on the ground, and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then he quickly entered the jade space to heal and replenish his strength. However, the physical strength and injuries consumed every time he used the martial skill couldn't be replenished in a short period of time. So, Lin-Yi could only replenish a small portion each time. Every time, he would waste a large portion. This reminded Lin-Yi of the battle with Right 13. That time, Lin-Yi used this kind of tenacious willpower to compete with Right 13. But at that time, Right 13's martial skill was obviously not on the same level as this Earth-ranked man in black. In fact, it could be said that the difference was like heaven and earth. Now, Lin-Yi could roughly guess that this person in front of him wasn't from an ancient sect. Book C Pavilion. The sect was an ancient family, otherwise, it would be impossible to have such a powerful martial skill. And it was also impossible for him to master the fourth martial skill at the mid-phase of the Earth-ranked. All signs indicated that if this person wasn't a genius, then he came from a wealthy family. Even hidden families would be left in the dust. "Kid, you can't do it this time, can you?" This time, the Earth-ranked man in black didn't get up so quickly to mock Lin-Yi. Instead, he adjusted his breathing for a long time. Seeing that Lin-Yi was still sitting on the ground, he mocked him. After a while, Lin-Yi stretched and said lightly, "I was about to fall asleep, and you only finished adjusting your breathing. You're really slow. I thought you were dead." Bullsh*T. The Earth-ranked man in black said angrily, "You have more Bullsh*T than me. Stop pretending. You want to scare me away by pretending to be calm? That's just wishful thinking. Do you think I don't know that you're talking nonsense? If you had nothing better to do, why didn't you sneak attack me? Why are you still on the ground? Sneak attacks are so shameless. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You hid your strength just now to kill one of my people. Isn't that shameless? The Earth-ranked man in black was already infuriated by Lin Yi. This little bastard only knew how to fight head-on. Fight head-on? Yes, he must have done it on purpose, pretending to be fine to scare me away. How could I let him succeed? In fact, what the Earth-ranked man in black thought was not wrong. Lin Yi's injuries were indeed heavier than his. This could be seen from the distance Lin Yi flew. But Lin Yi had the jade pendant, so he didn't know. Hiding and sneak attacks are different. Lin Yi said, "Come on, let's continue. See how open I am, who will sneak attack who?" The Earth-ranked man in black was angry. He was a dignified Middle Earth-ranked master, but he was being bullied by Lin Yi. But Lin Yi's bully was really effective. The pride of a Middle Earth-ranked master was not ordinary, especially when facing a weakling like Lin Yi. So the Earth-ranked man in black said, "What's there to be afraid of? Come on." And so, Lin Yi's Raging Flame Fist's third form once again met the Earth-ranked man's fourth form. After another loud bang, the two were once again bounced apart. 5 times, this was the 5th time the two had clashed head-on. Lin Yi felt that his physical strength was getting weaker, and his injuries were getting worse. It had already begun to affect his normal martial arts. Lin Yi glanced at the Earth-ranked man in black. Although the opponent was also seriously injured, and his physical strength was also declining, the opponent was still a Middle Earth-ranked master. Compared to Lin Yi, the difference was too big, so Lin Yi couldn't guarantee that he could exhaust the opponent to death. And now Lin Yi also discovered that the Earth-ranked Middle Earth-ranked master in front of him and Right 13's Middle Earth-ranked master were two completely different concepts. Previously, Lin Yi could exhaust Right 13 to the point that he ran away in fear, but the Earth-ranked man in black in front of him definitely wouldn't. Not to mention that his martial arts were many times better than Right 13's. Even Right 13 could only use 2 martial arts at that time, which was incomparable to the Earth-ranked man in black in front of him. Lin Yi gritted his teeth. This definitely couldn't go on like this, and Lin Yi couldn't retreat. Not to mention whether Su Shihan would be in danger if he retreated, it was just that the Earth-ranked man in black said that he would take revenge on the people around Lin Yi. Lin Yi couldn't let him go so easily. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1989. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2001. Very touched. Therefore, Lin Yi had to think of a countermeasure. Without a countermeasure, Lin Yi would have a hard time defeating the man in black. While healing and replenishing his energy, Lin Yi's mind spun rapidly, trying to think of a solution. But in the current situation, Lin Yi had no other way. His strength was not enough, his martial arts were not enough, his mental cultivation. Yes, mental cultivation. Lin Yi had been using the first stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal and replenish his strength, but he had never used the second stage to do this. At that time, it was also because Lin Yi's first stage was relatively simple, so there was no need to use the second stage. So when Lin Yi used the second stage, he only used it for healing and nothing else. With that in mind, Lin Yi quickly changed the first level of the art of dragon mastery to the second level. In the next moment, Lin Yi's injuries healed 2 to 3 times faster than before, and the qi that he'd lost in his body was also rapidly recovering. It was many times faster than before. This situation made Lin Yi overjoyed. But at the same time, he felt that he was too stupid. If he had used this method to replenish his energy and heal, then he wouldn't be in such a miserable state. At least in this kind of head-on fight, Lin Yi wouldn't be at a disadvantage anymore. Of course, this situation today was completely accidental. This man in black came with a purpose. Otherwise, if it was someone else, they wouldn't fight with Lin, a master with such powerful martial arts. But if he couldn't get past Lin Yi, he wouldn't be able to kill Su Shihan. And Lin Yi fought with brute force, completely using a desperate method, leaving the man in black helpless. If he didn't fight, he couldn't dodge, right? Even if he dodged, he could only dodge once. Next time, if Lin Yi used a feint and then a real attack, then he would be in danger. Moreover, as the pride of a mid-Earth class master, he didn't want to show any weakness in front of an early Earth class master like Lin Yi. He was obviously 2 levels higher than Lin Yi, so why should he dodge? But most importantly, the man in black felt that he was stronger than Lin Yi. If this continued, the first to die would definitely be Lin. In fact, after 5 consecutive collisions, if Lin Yi hadn't discovered that the second stage of the art of dragon mastery could heal and replenish his energy faster, Lin Yi would definitely die after a few more collisions. Kid? It won't work this time, right? I reckon that you'll be dead if you fight another 2 times. Now, kowtow and admit defeat. Hurry up and scram. Don't get in my way, and I'll let you and your family go. How about that? Although the Earth-ranked man in black was stronger than Lin Yi, it wasn't by much. At most, he was on par with Lin Yi after using the second level of the art of dragon mastery to heal and replenish his stamina. If this went on, even if he didn't die within a few moves, his stamina would be depleted endlessly. Book Ocean Pavilion, even if he went, he would still die. Therefore, the reason why the man in black said this was to test Lin Yi. He wanted to see if his estimation was correct. If Lin Yi was really an Earth-ranked early phase master, then no matter how strong he was, he would still be dead after 2 more collisions. I said that we won't stop until one of us dies. Let's continue. Lin Yi stood up and smiled at the man in black. Now that things had reached this point, Lin Yi couldn't let the man in black go. Let's not talk about whether or not he would keep his word, and whether or not he would let his family go. Just from the current situation, Lin Yi couldn't leave Su Shihan alone. Moreover, the Earth-ranked man in black had to die. He already knew of Chu Yang's background and strength. Once he returned and spread the news to his enemies, his true strength would be exposed. Would the family that had 3 Earth-ranked experts killed by Chu Yang take it lying down? So no matter what, he couldn't compromise. The man in black heard Lin Yi's words and really wanted to say, "Are you a cockroach? Why are you still here? You're an Earth-ranked early phase master, why aren't you dead yet? Are you really an Earth-ranked early phase master?" But although the man in black was suspicious, he was sure that Lin Yi was definitely an Earth-ranked early phase master. Otherwise, if Lin Yi was still hiding his strength in this situation, then there was something wrong with his brain. Su Shihan covered her mouth, crystal-clear tears silently flowed down her beautiful face. Lin Yi didn't need to care about her at all. If Lin Yi had the strength to easily kill the man, then there was no doubt that he would make a move. But now, Lin Yi clearly wasn't the opponent's match, and he was fighting with his life on the line. He was sent flying again and again, but every time he stood up, he'd smile and say, "Let's do it again." Su Shihan was very touched and wanted to cry. She lost her parents' love when she was young, and this was the first time she felt that someone would treat her so well. She wanted to say, Don't care about me, leave, but she didn't dare to make a sound and distract Lin. Although Su Shihan wasn't a practitioner, she could see that these two were really clashing with strength. One moment of distraction or carelessness, and she would die a horrible death. All this time, Su Shihan and Lin Yi had the mentality of repaying a debt of gratitude. Lin Yi cured her headache and she was very grateful to Lin Yi, but it was just gratitude. Their relationship could only be considered as a slightly better friend. Of course, there was also the relationship between Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu. She just had a good relationship with Lin Yi. And now Lin Yi's behavior had exceeded that of a normal friend. How could Su Shihan not be touched? In fact, the reason why Lin Yi did this was because he was the one who invited Su Shihan, so he had the responsibility to protect Su Shihan. This man in black had threatened Lin Yi, and he wanted to attack the people around Lin. How could Lin Yi let him live? Feng Sanwang's face was very solemn. He was very grateful to Lin Yi. He wanted to help, but he knew that with his skills, he would only be a hindrance. Feng Sanhuang watched as Lin Yi fell and stood up again and again. He even thought that if he could, he would die in Lin Yi's place. After all, protecting Su Shihan was Feng Sanhuang's duty, but to Lin Yi, it wasn't his duty or obligation. Lin Yi was merely helping out as a friend. Qing Yi's eyes were filled with terror as she looked at everything in front of her, not knowing what to do. 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. Lin Yi wasn't having a good time, but the Earth-rank black-robed man wasn't having a good time either. He wondered why Lin Yi was still alive. How could he still stand up and fight with him? If Lin Yi was an Earth-class early-phase master, he would have been dead by now. Even if he wasn't dead, he wouldn't have the stamina to fight him. How did Lin Yi do it? Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1990. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2002 Not Willing. Previously, when Lin Yi used the fourth form with the strength of an early Earth class, the man in black was already a little confused, and now he was even more confused. Of course, the fourth form was only the third form. Kid, we're always using the fourth form to meet force with force. Isn't that too unsightly? How about we change a few moves? It's too boring to play like this. The man in black was finally a little scared. He was afraid that if Lin Yi kept going, he wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Under normal circumstances, he could only use the fourth form about 10 times. Even if he was lucky, he could only use it about 15 times. Now that he had used it 8 times, what if Lin Yi could still hold on? And Lin Yi actually didn't want to go on like this. Although the third form was powerful, it wasn't as powerful as the first, second, and third forms. And Lin Yi actually couldn't hold on for much longer. Even with the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, Lin Yi could only hold on for another 5 or 6 times. Just when he didn't know what to do, the man in black actually made such a request. Lin Yi was overjoyed. How could he refuse? Alright, then let's start from the second form, but don't play any tricks. Lin Yi said. His first form was equivalent to the second form of the man in black, so Lin Yi could only say that he would start from the second form. I'm afraid that you'll play tricks. Those who play tricks will die. The man in black nodded, but he was very puzzled as to why Lin Yi wanted to start from the second form. But in an instant he understood. The Earth-class black-clothed man also knew how to use martial arts from the first form, and the second and third forms would be stronger than if he used them alone. If he used them from the second form onwards, he wouldn't be able to use them. So Lin Yi had suggested it because he was afraid that his martial arts would be stronger. However, the Earth-rank black-clothed man rarely practiced the first, second, and third style in succession, so it didn't have much of an effect on him. Alright, let's begin. Lin Yi mobilized the true chi within his body and launched the first move of the Raging Flame Fist towards the Earth stage man in black. The Earth-rank black-clothed man also used the second form of his Icy Snow Thorn to meet Lin Yi. Boom! A loud sound rang out as the two of them retreated. However, Lin Yi didn't stop after spitting out a mouthful of blood in order to keep using his skills, and so he didn't stop after spitting out a mouthful of blood. Instead, he quickly and continuously used the second form of Frenzy Fist towards the black-clothed man. The Earth-rank black-clothed man didn't expect that Lin Yi would actually skip the time to adjust his breathing and only attack with the third style. He didn't dare to adjust his breathing and hurriedly used his own third style to meet the attack. Boom! Another one. Book C Pavilion. A loud sound rang out as the two retreated once again. But this time, the Earth-rank man retreated even more than before, and he spat out even more blood than before. The Earth-rank black-clothed man was somewhat puzzled. Lin Yi's third style seemed to be very powerful. Did he use the fourth style? However, he shook his head. This shouldn't be the fourth style because the power of the fourth style was greater than this. But why did Lin Yi's third style seem to be stronger than his third style? In fact, Lin Yi was only using the second style. Even if it was infinitely close to the Earth-rank black-clothed man's third style, it was still inferior to the third style. The reason why the Earth-rank black-clothed man felt that it was very strong was because this style was directly derived from the first style, so it was stronger than the normal second style, resulting in such a result. However, before the Earth-rank black-clothed man could think any further, Lin Yi's fourth style came attacking. The Earth-rank black-clothed man was speechless. Do you want to die if you don't rest? However, Lin Yi's fist had already arrived, and he couldn't sit down to adjust his breathing, but he also didn't want to meet force with force again. Because he discovered that Lin Yi's fourth style was stronger than before, it was about 20% stronger. What was going on? Not only did Lin Yi not calm down to adjust his breathing, but he also continuously attacked, but stronger? Could it be that some people could start practicing from the second style, and the effect of each style was stronger than the previous one? Never heard of it? The Earth-rank black-clothed man's blood was really boiling. In his opinion, if he took this move from Lin Yi, he would definitely be very miserable. This was different from before, where he had the time to adjust his breathing, but now he didn't, and this move from Lin Yi was even stronger. Thinking of this, the Earth-rank black-clothed man's eyes turned, and he pretended to punch at Lin Yi, but in fact, he used both his feet to forcefully step on the ground, and his whole body borrowed the force to fly out, directly flying under the wall not far away. This kind of dodging method was very shameful, especially for an Earth-class mid-stage master to not dare to take on an Earth-class early-stage master's martial technique. But at this moment, the Earth-class black-clothed man didn't care about this shameful thing anymore. He even had some regrets. From the beginning, he shouldn't have clashed with Lin Yi so many times. He should have dodged a few times, and used up some of Lin Yi's strength. But with the confidence of a middle Earth rank, he didn't do that, and now he couldn't care so much. Seeing that the Earth rank black-clothed man suddenly dodged, Lin Yi's heart suddenly sank, and his expression changed. This third style, Frenzy Fist, was his trump card. He practiced the first and second style all the way without stopping to urge the third style, in order to make the third style stronger, and if the third style hit the body of the Earth rank black-clothed man, Lin Yi also had the confidence to seriously injure him. Before, Lin Yi had been persevering, even when he used the first and second style to fight with the Earth rank black-clothed man and suffered serious internal injuries. He didn't stop to heal, and chose to continue. Because as long as the Earth rank black-clothed man was seriously injured, then Lin Yi would have the absolute advantage. But unexpectedly, at this most critical moment, the Earth rank black-clothed man actually chose to retreat. He didn't take the third style head-on. Lin Yi frowned. His heart was full of regret, and the third style had already been urged. It was impossible to stop. In desperation, with regret, Lin Yi could only urge the third style. Although Lin Yi had tried his best to chase in the direction of the Earth rank black-clothed man, the power of the third style had mostly dissipated. By the time Lin Yi arrived in front of the Earth rank black-clothed man, only a small bit of hot flame swept across his body. This bit of flame might be fatal to ordinary people, but to the Earth rank black-clothed man, it was nothing, not even a small injury. Lin Yi wasn't willing to accept this. Yes, there was a deep unwillingness in his heart. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1991. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 2003 Frenzy Fist, 4th Form. He had painstakingly planned to activate 3 forms in a row, but it had actually been resolved by the Earth rank man's retreat. He had clenched his teeth and persevered even though he was injured, but in the end, it was all for naught. Thinking of this, Lin Yi was so angry that his eyes seemed to be emitting flames. Unexpectedly, Lin Yi actually continued to activate the Frenzy Fist's 4th form. This was a form that Lin Yi had activated many times without success, but for some reason, Lin Yi actually clenched his teeth and activated it once again under these circumstances. In the past, when he wanted to activate the 4th form after the 3rd form had ended, Lin Yi would have a feeling that his strength was not as strong as his will, and thus forcefully disperse the condensed qi and aura, ultimately ending in failure. But this time, Lin Yi's expression was incomparably solemn and once again activated the 4th form. Facing the Earth rank man in front of him, he took a step forward. Afterwards, the qi within Lin Yi's body frantically surged towards his right fist, and at this moment, the heaven and earth spiritual qi around Lin Yi's body also seemed to be mobilized, and circled around Lin Yi's head and body. Lin Yi's hands quickly formed seals, forming a very strange posture. Under the astonished expression of the Earth rank man in black, he punched out, Frenzy Fist, 4th Form. When the inconceivably powerful heaven and earth spiritual qi in the surroundings had been attracted by Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist's first 3 forms and condensed, Lin Yi finally took that final step, the 4th form. All of this seemed to be done in one go, without any obstructions. In the past, when practicing the Frenzy Fist's first 3 forms, when he wanted to activate the 4th form, it would always be for naught at the last moment. This wasn't because Lin Yi didn't work hard or anything, it was because his cultivation wasn't enough. Although he could get infinitely close to the minimum requirement of being able to perform the fourth form by relying on the overlay of his aura after practicing the first form, infinitely close didn't mean that he completely met the requirement, so he still couldn't do it. But it was different this time. When he used the third move, Frenzy Fist, the challenge of his limits became his greatest help. His body seemed to have turned into a ball of flame at this moment. He pushed all his momentum to the limit and successfully activated the fourth move, Frenzy Fist. At this moment, the eyes of the Earth-rank man in black surged with a strong sense of fear. The moment when Lin Yi's fist was about to land on his body, he once again urged the fourth form of the Icy Snow Thorn to meet Lin Yi. At this moment he wanted to dodge again, but he was already at the bottom of the wall, and there was nowhere to hide or hide. Left with no other choice, he could only take the attack head-on. But in the next moment his eyes flashed with deep shock. The fifth style. How is this possible? But the man in black. Book C Pavilion. Before he could finish his sentence, he was sent flying by a huge force. However, the distance he flew was very limited, and he was directly hit by Lin Yi onto the cement wall behind him. His body smashed onto the cement wall, causing it to collapse with a loud bang. A super large hole had already appeared on his left hand and left chest. This was caused by Lin Yi's fourth style of Wildfire Fist. Those intermittent words from before were the last words of the black-clothed man of Earth rank in this world. He died with everlasting regret. Even in death, he did not know how he had died. Why did Lin Yi suddenly execute the fifth form? What was the reason behind this? And Lin Yi was just an early Earth class. But all of this was meaningless, because he was already dead. The death of the black-clothed man did not bring much joy to Lin. On the contrary, Lin Yi's expression was incomparably solemn. Lin Yi's body was surrounded by more and more spiritual energy, because Lin Yi could already feel that he was about to break through. The moment he executed the fourth style of Wildfire Fist, Lin Yi felt that he was about to break through. However, he resisted the urge to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and did not enter the space within the jade pendant. He carefully controlled the rhythm of his body, and executed the fourth style of Wildfire Fist. Under the pressure of the fourth style of Wildfire Fist, the black-clothed man's fourth style, Icy Snow Spike, was broken without any resistance. This kind of victory was completely a fluke and a narrow victory. If it wasn't for the fact that the black-clothed man did not dare to meet Lin Yi's third style head-on at the last moment, and did not let Lin Yi's third style explode and fully release it, he would not have been able to execute the fourth style so smoothly. But if the black-clothed man knew that it was because of his escape that Lin Yi executed the fourth style and broke through in strength, he would definitely be depressed to the point of dying again. There were many reasons why he was able to execute the fifth style of Wildfire Fist, but the most important reason was that in this kind of dangerous situation, Lin Yi's potential was stimulated, and it was also because Lin Yi was about to break through at the same time that he successfully executed the fourth style. None of these conditions could be omitted. After killing the black-clothed man, Lin Yi didn't even check if the man was dead or alive. He directly sat cross-legged on the ground, activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, and entered the jade space. At this moment, the energy of heaven and earth above Lin Yi's head was getting denser and denser. Of course, this kind of phenomenon could only be felt by people, and Su Shihan and Chengyi only felt that there seemed to be some kind of strange airflow nearby, but they didn't feel anything strange. Is he about to break through? Feng Sanhuang didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to kill an Earth-class mid-stage master with the power of an Earth-class early stage, and not only that, but from the looks of it, he had broken through the limit of his body's potential and was about to level up. Thinking up to here, Feng Sanhuang quickly said to Su Shihan and Chengyi, "Don't move, stand behind me, Brother Lin is about to break through, I want to do it for him." "That's okay." Although Su Shihan didn't understand what Feng Sanhuang was talking about, she could clearly see the current situation. Lin Yi's enemy was defeated, there was a big hole in his body, and he couldn't be more dead. It was obvious that Lin Yi was no longer in danger, and this made Su Shihan sigh in relief. At the same time, she admired Lin even more, and even worshipped him. From the words of the black-clothed man, it could be seen that between the two of them, Lin Yi was at a disadvantage, But even at a disadvantage, Lin Yi was still able to climb back up again, and finally turn defeat into victory, creating a miracle. Cheng Yi's eyes, on the other hand, were filled with terror as she looked at Lin Yi and the dead man at the corner of the wall, speechless. Book Ocean Pavilion. Chapter 1992. Book Sea Pavilion. Chapter 2004 Earth Class Early Phase Peak. After Lin Yi entered the space of the jade, he began to absorb the energy of heaven and earth in a frenzy. His body was like a big sponge, the endless energy pouring into his body. Compared to the slow absorption before, this was a completely different speed. As for Lin Yi, this was also the first time he used the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to break through. He felt that his absorption speed was much faster than the first stage. In the same amount of time, he could absorb more energy into his body. At this moment, the sudden influx of pure energy was a little too much for Lin Yi to bear. Lin Yi took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. He didn't switch to the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, but continued to work on the second stage of the art. He had a feeling that the first stage wouldn't be able to break through the shackle, and the second stage was the right choice. Lin Yi closed his eyes and carefully controlled the pure energy that was pouring into his body, guiding it to flow and circle in his meridians. After the pure energy flowed into his meridians, it seemed to have a life of its own. Under the control of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, it flowed back and forth in his meridians. This feeling made Lin Yi feel very comfortable. The pure energy that flowed through his meridians seemed to twist together with the original pure energy in his body, forming a unified flow. This was completely different from when he broke through to Earth class. The first stage of the art of dragon mastery didn't allow him to drive the pure energy that flowed into his body, it only allowed him to absorb the pure energy into his body, but the advantage now was that the pure energy that was absorbed into his body was fusing with the original pure energy, and the original pure energy became majestic and boundless. It seemed to have more vitality than before, which made it easier for Lin Yi to break through the bottleneck of the early phase peak of Earth class. However, breaking through to Earth class was evidently more difficult. As more and more pure qi entered his body, Lin Yi felt as if his entire body was on the verge of exploding. It was a torturous feeling, and there were a few times when he wanted to give up, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. Because Lin Yi understood that it was like rowing a boat against the current. If he didn't advance, he would fall back. If he gave up this time, then it would be a little more difficult to break through the second time. After all, this kind of limit breakthrough in battle was something that could only be found by chance. If he gave up, then who knew when he would have to wait for the next time? So, Lin Yi had to persevere no matter what. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt the meridians in his chest suddenly shook violently. His body also shook violently, and with a "pu" sound, he spat out another mouthful of black blood. This situation made Feng Sanhuang jump, and Su Shihan and Qing Yi, who were not far away, were also shocked. They didn't know what happened to Lin Yi, but they didn't dare to go up and disturb him. Lin didn't really feel much, but rather, it was because of the rapid circulation of the pure qi that forced the clotted blood out of his body, and his body's injuries were slowly recovering under the circulation of the pure qi. The second stage of the art of dragon mastery seemed to be able to heal injuries during breakthroughs, and while it was a little painful, it was indeed magical. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Yi felt a lot more comfortable in his chest. The vast and boundless pure energy in his body had already begun to break through the bottleneck. It worked hard bit by bit in the meridians, and gradually filled up. Lin Yi carefully absorbed and controlled the pure energy in his body, letting it flow into every meridian in his body. Wherever the pure energy flowed through, it quickly fused with the previous pure energy, and the nearby injuries were also quickly healed. Because some injuries were more serious than others, Lin Yi was like walking on a tightrope. He didn't dare to be careless at all. He used the art of dragon mastery to guide the pure energy, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. At this moment, Lin Yi's body was already soaked with dirty blood and sweat, and he looked very haggard. Lin Yi was like a person covered in blood. If it wasn't for his rhythmic breathing and heartbeat that could tell that Lin Yi's body was very healthy, anyone who looked from afar would think that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to survive. Lin Yi slowly, slowly circulated the pure energy in his body. Finally, the pure energy had completed a full cycle in his body, and all his injuries were healed at this moment. However, the energy from the space in the jade pendant didn't stop flowing in, so Lin Yi didn't dare to relax at all, and continued to circulate the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Under Lin Yi's guidance, the pure energy began to circulate a second time. Slowly from beginning to end, Lin Yi suddenly realized that the pure energy in his body had been filled to an unbelievable level. At the same time, Lin Yi felt like his entire body was exploding, and after a loud boom in his ears, he felt unprecedentedly relaxed. Finally, a breakthrough. At this moment, Lin Yi was already at the peak of the early phase of Earth class. Phew! Lin Yi Book Ocean Pavilion. He let out a long breath, feeling full of strength from head to toe. There was a feeling of relaxation that he had never felt before, and it was very comfortable. As Lin Yi let out that breath, he slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, Lin Yi had regained his previous vigor. The moment Lin Yi broke through, Feng Sanhuang also let out a long sigh of relief. He was also a practitioner, and even though he wasn't as high as Lin Yi, he was still very clear about the situation when breaking through. So when he saw Lin Yi open his eyes, he immediately cupped his hands in excitement. Congratulations, Brother Lin, you've taken another step forward on the road of cultivation, reaching the peak of the early phase of Earth class. Heh, you've worked hard. Lin Yi nodded to Feng Sanhuang. Although Lin Yi was in the space of the jade pendant, he knew that Feng Sanhuang had been helping him outside. Therefore, Lin Yi was very grateful to Feng Sanhuang. Brother Lin, what do you mean by that? You're risking your life for us and I'm just doing my bit. How is that hard work? Feng Sanhuang immediately shook his head and said, if it wasn't for you, Miss Su, Miss Cheng, and I probably wouldn't have been able to escape from this man in black today. In Feng Sanhuang's opinion, Lin Yi could have just walked away, but Lin Yi hadn't done so. He'd even risked his life to make the black-clothed man stay by a narrow margin. This kindness had undoubtedly moved him greatly. Han's someone I invited. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something were to happen to her. I can't just sit back and do nothing unless I'm dead. Lin Yi was a man of persistence towards his friends and family. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1993. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't die. If Lin Yi really had no other way, he would think of a way to escape with Su Shihan and the others. Book C Pavilion Net. Lin Yi, thank you. Su Shihan looked at Lin Yi and said sincerely, I don't know how to thank you, but I can only say this one word, thank you. Su Shihan said it from the bottom of her heart. A moment ago, she thought of Lin Yi as a good friend, but now, he was the kind of friend that she could trust with her heart and even her life. Saving someone's life was something that couldn't be repaid. Money, kindness, nothing was more important than life. Su Shihan believed that if Lin Yi asked her to marry him right now, she would agree without hesitation. Although the story of a hero saving a beauty was a bit cliché, since ancient times, beauties loved heroes. Su Shihan couldn't say that she fell in love with Lin Yi in an instant, but deep in her heart, she had a very good impression of Lin Yi. So even if he asked her to marry him, she wouldn't reject it. Of course, Su Shihan was just joking. Lin Yi already had girlfriends, and two of them. Even Meng Yao and Yu Shu had some kind of relationship with him. He didn't need her anymore. You're welcome. Lin Yi stood up and said to Su Shihan casually. But Su Shihan didn't expect Lin Yi to say it so casually. She was a bit surprised. Although I don't know how to repay you, but no matter what you say, I will do my best, I won't hesitate. Feng Sanhuang looked at Su Shihan and hesitated, but in the end he didn't say anything. Book C Pavilion Net. Making a superstar like Su Shihan make this kind of promise, if Lin Yi was a pervert, then one could imagine what kind of request he would make. So, Feng Sanhuang wanted to remind Su Shihan, but he felt that it was unnecessary. If Lin Yi was really that kind of person, then he, Feng Sanhuang, had misjudged him. Pusher, Yao Yao and Shu are both your fans. In the future, if they miss you, you can come over anytime. Lin Yi smiled and said indifferently, as if he didn't take Su Shihan's promise seriously. Of course, no problem. It's just a small matter. We're good friends anyway, It's not a big deal. Su Shirhan naturally wouldn't treat this as a condition to repay Lin Yi. That's right, why don't we hurry up and take a look at the face of that man in black and see who he is? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the masked man in black. Since he covered his face, he must be afraid of being recognized. Then the possibility of Su Shirhan and Feng Sanhuang knowing him was higher. That's right, this is the important thing. Feng Sanhuang also nodded and quickly walked towards the black-clothed man. He wanted to pull off the black-clothed man's mask, but his hand stopped halfway as he said in horror, "Corpse-dissolving powder." Corpse powder? Lin Yi paused, not understanding what Feng Sanhuang was talking about. He walked over, but when he saw the condition of the man's face, he frowned, as expected. It's corpse disintegration powder. Lin Yi was familiar with corpse powder from his previous job. This was a kind of powder that could quickly rot the skin and bones. Once it was sprinkled on the body, it would instantly corrode the body. Of course, this wasn't the strongest corpse powder. The stronger corpse powder, as long as a little bit was sprinkled, it could corrode the whole body. At this moment, the man in black's face was like this. It was completely corroded. Even half of the bones were corroded. Under the black mask, there was a yellow liquid that emitted a rancid smell. It was very disgusting. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi, on the other hand, were so disgusted that they wanted to puke. What's going on? When I was healing and breaking through, did someone come here? Lin Yi frowned. Although he asked this, he was almost sure that in this alley, other than the four of them, there shouldn't be anyone else. Otherwise, if there was an unfamiliar aura, Lin Yi would definitely be able to sense it. But Lin Yi didn't. There shouldn't be anyone else. Feng Sanhuang frowned and shook his head. When you were sitting on the ground, there should be 4 of us in the alley. 4 of us? Then there shouldn't be anyone sprinkling corpse powder. If that's the case, then the man in black must have bitten the capsule in his mouth or some kind of mechanism on the mask before he died. Lin Yi thought back to the time when they were on the airport highway. That Mystic Class Peak Late Phase Master was ruthless. If he could blow up his own head, then it wasn't surprising that the man in black could destroy his own face. That should be it. Feng Sanhuang nodded. Before, although Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were running around anxiously, there shouldn't be anyone else who entered the alley. Look at the other one. Lin Yi pointed at the other man in black not far away, but Lin Yi's eyes were better. With one look, he shook his head in disappointment and said, "It should be over, no need to look." Feng Sanhuang didn't give up and walked over to take another look. Sure enough, he found that the other Mystic Class man in black had also changed beyond recognition. He couldn't be identified at all. "No, these people are too cunning." Feng Sanhuang said hatefully, "We don't even know who they are, damn it." "Forget it, I'll call someone to take care of the body, then we'll go and identify the body from before." Lin Yi said, "You have connections?" Feng Sanhuang heard Lin Yi's words and was immediately happy. "Yang Huaijuan from the police station is a good brother of mine," Lin Yi said. "But, as far as I know, the bodies have already been moved to the department." Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. "We need to find someone from the department? Huh, my father-in-law is?" Lin Yi shrugged and smiled. "Father-in-law?" Feng Sanhuang paused. "Xiao Xiao's father, Feng Tianlong." Su Shirhan knew and explained to Feng Sanhuang. "Feng hiss." Feng Sanhuang was shocked and took a deep breath. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were confused by Feng Sanhuang's expression. "Nothing. I'm just surprised that Bro Lin's father-in-law is from the department." Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. "Oh, I'll call him now." As Lin Yi spoke, he called Feng Tianlong and told him what happened here. As expected, the corpses had been moved to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but until now, no one had claimed or admitted that these people were related to them. Chapter 1994. Feng Tianlong also said that he would immediately send people here to transport the 2 bodies away and continue to investigate the families or sects behind the scenes. Lin Yi also asked Feng Tianlong to send the photos of the men in black who weren't disfigured. When Lin Yi received the information, he showed the phone to Feng Sanhuang. "I don't know them." Feng Sanhuang looked carefully for a long time and finally shook his head. "I don't know these people, They are all unfamiliar faces. Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all by San Wang's response. After all, thise people didn't need to be masked to show up, so it was obvious that they weren't afraid of being recognized and investigated. They were all small characters, so this was normal. Forget it, let's wait for Uncle Feng and the others, Lin Yi said. Not long after, a car with a special license plate drove on the pedestrian street in a low-key manner. But even if it was low-key, it was still very abrupt for a car to appear on the pedestrian street. However, there was no other way. If they wanted to transport the body, they couldn't just come over and carry it away, right? The car stopped at the entrance of the alley. Feng Tianlong and a few men in black got off the car. Feng Tianlong was originally in Donghai City dealing with the drug dealers, so he rushed over quickly. Book Ocean Pavilion, net. Uncle Feng. Lin Yi went over to greet him. Little Yi, I'm busy these few days, I'll eat with you another day. I'll transport these two bodies first, I'll inform you immediately if there's any news. Although Feng Tianlong said that, he knew that he wouldn't be able to get any results from the investigation. After so long, no families or sects came out to claim these bodies. It was obvious that they didn't want to, and from the way their heads were destroyed, it could be seen that these people didn't want others to know their identity. Okay, Uncle Feng. Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong quickly ordered 2 fully armed men to carry the 2 bodies that were covered with body powder into the car and drove away. Su Shihan and Qing Yi didn't have the mood to continue shopping. Such a big thing had happened. Both of them wanted to go back to their rooms and rest. However, Su Shihan wanted to go back to the hotel, but Lin Yi didn't agree. Instead, he invited Su Shihan to stay at his villa for the night. After all, Lin Yi was afraid that something might happen at night. Who knew if the enemy would send more masters to cause trouble? Su Shihan didn't want to trouble Lin Yi anymore, but Feng Sanhuang said, if that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Brother Lin. Words cannot express my gratitude. Su Shihan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She hadn't agreed yet, but Feng Sanhuang was more anxious than her. He agreed first, so Su Shihan couldn't refuse anymore. She nodded and said, okay, I miss Yao Yao and Shu too. Let's go see them. Lin Yi's body was covered in blood, so the 4 of them returned to the parking lot under the surprised gazes of many people. No one dared to ask anything. Su Shihan and Qing Yi were wearing big sunglasses, and Feng Sanhuang looked cool, so many people thought that these 4 were not good people. They thought that they were from the underworld, so no one dared to provoke them. Feng Sanhuang sent Lin Yi and Su Shihan back to the villa in Shueshang district, and he drove Qing Yi back to Shueshang Hotel. Meng Yao and Yushu opened the door and saw Su Shihan first. They were surprised and happy. Shihan sis, Shu and I missed you. Meng Yao warmly invited Su Shihan into the room, but when her eyes fell on Lin Yi, her whole body trembled. She was shocked. Lin Yi, what happened to you? It's nothing, I fought with a gangster and got some blood. Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao and Yushu to worry, so he said it calmly, as if it was a very simple thing. Are you really okay? Meng Yao blinked and looked at Lin Yi suspiciously. After all, Lin Yi's situation was a bit too bad. His clothes were torn in a few places and it was all black blood. Even Lin Yi's face and mouth were full of blood. Meng Yao couldn't help but suspect that Lin Yi had serious internal injuries, but he couldn't say it. I'm really okay. Lin Yi nodded. Let Detective Shu check. Yushu ran over and touched Lin Yi's body left and right, front and back. Ahem. Shu, if you want to take advantage of Lin Yi, just say it. You don't have to use the excuse of checking his body, okay? That's the trick of weird uncles. Meng Yao was speechless at Yushu's behavior. Wow, Shield Bro's muscles seem to be stronger. After the check by Detective Shu, Shield Bro is intact. Oh, it should be the upper body, the lower body hasn't been checked yet. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's lower body curiously. Okay Shu, there's no need to check. Shihan sis is here, can't you be more normal? Meng Yao was speechless, but seeing that Lin Yi was really fine, she was relieved. I'm very normal? Yushu said confusedly. Ha! Shihan started laughing as well. Yushu had always been like this, always surprising people with her actions. You guys play, I'm going to take a shower. With that, Lin Yi got up and walked to his room. Not only was he covered in blood, but he'd also just broken through. He was still sweaty and uncomfortable. I'll go to bed after that. You guys rest early too. Han still needs to help me with rehearsals tomorrow. Okay. Shirhan smiled at Lin Yi and nodded. Her eyes were full of gentleness and worship. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's back and then looked at Shirhan. Her face was a little strange. Wait, it seems like there's something going on. Shirhan sis, there's something wrong between you and Shield bro. What's wrong? Shirhan was recalling how Lin Yi stood up again and again. When Yushu suddenly asked her, her face turned red and she stuttered. Mengyao wanted to tell Shu not to talk nonsense. Shirhan was a superstar, how could there be something going on with Lin? But seeing Shirhan's stuttering expression, she was a little confused. Did something really happen between these two? So she didn't continue to say the words that were at the tip of her mouth. Instead, she looked at Shirhan suspiciously. Oh, there's something going on. Shirhan sis, what did you and Shield bro do just now? Don't tell me you've already pushed Shield bro down? Yushu looked at Su Shirhan, her eyes gleaming. How is that possible? Shirhan said subconsciously. Then what's wrong with you guys? Why do I feel that something is wrong? Yushu continued to ask. Chapter 1995. Alright, I'll tell you guys, but don't tell Lin Yi that I told you guys, he doesn't seem to want you guys to know. Shirhan said helplessly. In order to clarify her relationship with Lin Yi, she had no choice but to tell Mengyao and Yushu. He doesn't want us to know? Mengyao frowned, she didn't know why she wasn't happy. Was it because Lin Yi and Shirhan were hiding something from her? Even if Shirhan was a celebrity she liked, Lin Yi was involved. Mengyao couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. It's like this. Shirhan sat on the sofa and lowered her voice as she recounted everything that had happened. Shirhan was a superstar, after all, and her eloquence was top-notch. Even if she wasn't as vivid as Yushu, she was still able to tell the whole story without leaving out any details. When she got to the part where Lin Yi fell and got up, Shirhan couldn't hold back her tears. I'm so touched, I didn't think that Lin Yi would risk his life to protect me. We're just normal friends, Mengyao and Yushu were silent as well, shaken to the core. Fortunately, Lin Yi had returned victorious, and not only had his wounds healed, but he'd also used the opportunity to break through. It was a good thing to be happy about. The two also knew that Lin Yi had the ability to heal himself, and they also knew that Lin Yi was a protective person. Whether it was Shirhan, Guan Xian, Tang Yun, or even the Miss and Shu, Lin Yi would always step forward and risk his life to save them. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. So Mengyao and Yushu understood. Lin Yi's just like that, he's very, very good to his friends. Mengyao sighed. But at least it's over. Yeah, Lin Yi is a good man, you too? You have to cherish him. Shirhan sighed as well. Chu Mengyao blushed and was at a loss for words. Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Sister Shirhan, you know that? He, of course I know. But I can also see what you two are thinking. If it weren't for the two of you lining up here, maybe I would join in the fun too. Su Shirhan's words were said half-jokingly, so Mengyao and Yushu didn't take it seriously. Both of them focused on the first half of Su Shirhan's sentence. Oh, Sister Shirhan is so amazing. She can see that I like Shield bro at once. Yushu said, but Sister Yao Yao is so reserved, but she can also see it. It's really not simple. Little Shu, are you still asleep? What the hell are you talking about? Mengyao glared at her. Book C Pavilion Net. I mean Shirhan sis, do you like Shield bro too? Yushu was afraid that Mengyao would beat her up, so she quickly changed the topic. Su Shirhan was a little suspicious, and after hearing Yushu's words, she blushed and said incoherently, How could I? I just think that Lin Yi is very powerful, and I admire him a little. Oh. Yushu and Mengyao didn't expect Su Shirhan to admit it. Anyone could tell that Yushu was joking and changing the topic, but Su Shirhan took it seriously. She even said that she admired Lin. What did this mean? A man who could make a superstar admire him was really not simple. Could it be that Su Shirhan really liked him because he saved the damsel in distress? You've misunderstood. I just think that he's very powerful, but I'm not in love with him. Su Shirhan saw the two's expression and quickly explained, and I'm a superstar, how can I fall in love with someone so easily? That's true. Meng Yao heard Su Shirhan's words and nodded. Lin Yi was so powerful, it was possible that she simply admired him. After all, she admired Lin Yi's skills and perseverance. She just didn't say it out loud. After all, Su Shirhan was someone who had seen the world. After a short moment of panic, she easily changed the topic and the three of them started talking about other things. Su Shirhan had participated in large-scale press conferences, and she could easily deal with all those tricky questions from the media. Not to mention Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin Yi went back to his room, took a shower, and sat on the bed cross-legged to continue practicing. He needed to stabilize his strength and level. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Su Shirhan, on the other hand, were tired after talking for a while. They went upstairs to shower and get ready to rest. The Miss and Shu showered together. Although Su Shirhan was very familiar with them, she didn't want to bathe with them. She could only bathe alone after they were done. Meng Yao was wiping herself with a towel after showering when she suddenly asked, "Right, Shu, didn't we ask Lin Yi to get the underwear? Why didn't he give it to us? Did he keep it for himself?" "Oh, no way, Shield Bro isn't that perverted, is he?" Yushu blinked. "If Shield Bro likes it, I can actually give it to him for free." Ahem. Maybe it's because Han Jingjing was there yesterday, and she came back with us, so he didn't take it out. He came back with Su Shirhan today, so he didn't have the chance to take it out. We'll ask him tomorrow. That's possible, Yushu said. Inside the private room of the restaurant in Shuashang Hotel. Today, a small leader of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang invited the person in charge of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang to a banquet. The leader was, naturally, Li Biaohan from Donghai Industry University, and the new person in charge of the Fire Wolves was Zhang Wen. Zhang Wen would take over all the businesses and affairs of the Fire Wolves in Donghai City, continuing to think of ways to earn more money. Li Biaohan brought two friends with him today. One was Niadeo from the Hidden House Zhuang, and the other was Tiger Right from the Hidden House Yu. These two were people of high status, and Li Biaohan had them accompany him. It was enough to show how much importance he placed on Zhang Wen. Li Biaohan, on the other hand, had heard of Zhang Wen's exploits. It was said that Zhang Wen was someone who could think of ways to earn money, and was highly regarded by the leader of the Firewolves. If Li Biaohan could serve Zhang Wen well, then his position in the Firewolves would definitely skyrocket. "Welcome, Wen Bro." Li Biaohan quickly stood up and greeted Zhang Wen passionately. Niadeo and Tiger right beside him stood up as well. They knew how powerful the Firewolves were. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1996. They'd heard about Zhang Wen from Li Biaohan, the person in charge of the Firewolves in the province. The Firewolves valued him a lot, and they naturally wanted to be on good terms with him. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. Of course, they had heard that Zhang Wen used to be a member of House An, one of the 5 small noble houses. However, House An's identity paled in comparison to House An's identity. It wasn't even worth mentioning. "You're Li Biaohan, right? Not bad, you do look tough." Zhang Wen looked at Li Biaohan, quite satisfied with his respect and friendliness. It seemed that this guy had a good eye for things and was worth his time to train. "Thanks for the compliment, Wen Bro." Li Biaohan pointed at the two beside him. "Let me introduce you, Wen Bro. This is the young master of House Zhuang, Zhuang Niadeo, the future heir of House Zhuang. This is the second young master of House Yu, and he's well-versed in the art of pelletization. He'll definitely be one of the elders of House Yu in the future." Zhang Wen was a little taken aback after hearing their statuses. These two were from hidden houses. If it weren't for the fact that the Firewolves valued him so much that his status skyrocketed, he wouldn't have been able to interact with the young masters of the hidden houses with his status as one of the 5 small noble houses, even if he was just an external contact for the Firewolves. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. But now, Zhang Wen wasn't the same as before. He didn't feel flattered at all. "So it's Master Zhuang and Master Yu, it's an honor to meet you. This is my follower, Big Scorpion. We're family now, let's get to know each other better. Who knows, I might need your help in the future." Sure, I heard that Wen bro is good at making money. Master Yu and I were thinking that if Master Wen has any good ideas for making money, we'd be extremely grateful if you could bring us along. Zhuang Niadeo was the future heir of House Zhuang, and his goal in coming to school was to learn how to manage a house. It'd be best if he could find some business for the house. As for Right Coiling Tiger, it was purely for fun. He knew alchemy. Although he could only refine some low-level pills, he could still sell them for a lot of money. He was never short of pocket money. My business, is illegal. I wonder if the two of you are still interested? Zhang Wen's mind spun. It wouldn't be a bad idea to rope in these two young masters of the hidden houses if he had some business dealings. Borrowing their power would make things much easier. We are all cultivators. What's there to be afraid of? Zhuang Niadeo waved his hand and confidently said, Don't worry, when Brother Wen has business, just help us. If that's the case, sure. Zhang Wen nodded. Book C Pavilion, net. Li Biaohan said, All right, let's sit down and talk. Brother Wen, please take a seat. You can take the seat of honor. Then I won't refuse. Zhang Wen laughed and sat on the seat of honor. After Zhang Wen sat down, the dishes were served like flowing water. They started chatting, but since Li Biaohan had Zhuang Niadeo and Right Coiling Tiger with him, Zhang Wen didn't talk too much about the firewolves. After all, there were some things he couldn't let them know. After 3 rounds of drinking, Li Biaohan received a phone call. He looked at the caller ID and made an embarrassed gesture to Zhang Wen, Our firewolves. With that, he picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Li Biaohan. Biaohan bro, Lotzi and I were at the antique market yesterday, and we ran into 2 people that looked like noble house disciples. They should be practitioners, but we don't know which house they're from. I've asked around with Lotzi, but we didn't get any information. That's why I'm calling you? It was one of Li Biaohan's lackeys, AOZ. He was one of the 2 gangsters that stopped Lin Yi and Lu Jinghan at the antique market. Did you offend them? As soon as Li Biaohan heard this, he knew that AOZ and La Zi had offended the 2 cultivators who were suspected to be from aristocratic families. After their investigation was fruitless, they came to him for help. It's not really offended, it's like this. And so, AOZ explained the situation to Li Biaohan in detail. I see. If that's the case, send me the pictures of the 2 of them. But according to what you said, I don't think they'll bother you anymore. You don't have to be afraid. Li Biaohan comforted them. The antique market was under the protection of Li Biaohan's men, and it was also one of Li Biaohan's usual income. Since it was the stall owner's request, AOZ and Lotzi couldn't say that they did anything wrong. It was just that they didn't find out where the 2 people came from, and they were afraid, so they called him for help. Okay, Biaohan bro, I'll send it to you now. AOZ said quickly. After hanging up, Li Biaohan explained to Zhang Wen, Our firewolf gang is protecting an antique market, and 2 of our lackeys offended 2 people who seem to be from noble houses. They should be practitioners. They didn't find out where they came from, and they're afraid that they'll take revenge, so they called me for help. With that, Li Biaohan told Zhang Wen about what happened. Your 2 lackeys are quite careful, but it's settled, and the stall owner even gave them 2 cauldrons. It should be fine now, Zhang Wen said. Cauldrons? You Coiling Tiger paused. There weren't many alchemists, and these 2 were practitioners. They went to buy cauldrons. Were they alchemists too? But which alchemists didn't have their own cauldrons? Why would they go to a stall to buy a fake one? Shaking his head, You Coiling Tiger said, It's probably 2 noble houses who want to study alchemy for fun. Even the lowest level alchemist wouldn't go to a place like that to buy a cauldron. Yeah, I forgot that Lil Bro Yu is an expert in this field. Li Biaohan laughed and nodded. As he spoke, his phone rang twice. Evidently, he received a text message. Li Biaohan opened the message, and with one look, he knew who one of the people was. Damn, isn't this Linny? Li Biaohan pointed at the phone screen. Lin. Zhang Niado didn't think much of it, but You Coiling Tiger heard this name and immediately went over. He looked at Li Biaohan's phone screen and immediately recognized the 2 people. These 2 are our classmates. One is Lin Yi, and the other is Han Jingjing. They seem to be quite close. Chapter 1997. Mysterious Phone Call, Part 1. As he spoke, Jiang Wen walked over and glanced at Li Biaohan's phone. His face changed and hatred flashed across his face. Lin? What? You know this Lin Browen? Li Biaohan paused. This kid's always going against me, even stealing my woman. Jiang Wen humphed coldly, not hiding anything. But this kid's a bit weird. You guys shouldn't mess with him before you have absolute confidence. I don't have any confidence either. That's true. Right Coiling Tiger nodded and said, this young master can't wait to kill him, but this guy can actually kill 3 Earth stage in one move. I don't dare to fight him head-on. I heard that he's a refiner too. That's not right. Why would he buy such a trashy cauldron if he's a refiner? Right Coiling Tiger didn't understand why Lin Yi and Han Jingjing would go to the antique market. Even the lowest level refiner wouldn't go there to buy cauldrons, would they? Usually, those who went there were beginners and newbies who didn't know alchemy before. They bought them for research, but who would use trash cauldrons like that? Right Coiling Tiger was suspicious. What was this Lin Yi doing? Buying trash like that? Who knows? That Lin Yi has too many weird things going on. Jiang Wen frowned. Forget it, let's not talk about him. Today's a happy day, it'll ruin the mood. Yes, since these two are Lin Yi and Right Coiling Tiger's classmates, they probably won't take revenge on our lackeys. They don't have time for that. Li Biaohan nodded and texted his lackeys back, telling them that everything was fine. Then he started eating and drinking with Jiang Wen and the others. Ancient House Feng Tianhu's face was dark to the point of being scary. The woman sitting in front of him, on the other hand, had a gloating expression on her face. Feng Tianhu had already received the news that Feng Erbing's team had been annihilated. He never would have thought that an Earth-class early phase master would be able to kill a middle phase master, and then level up after killing a middle phase master. What kind of logic was this? Could it be that his Earth rank was Earth rank, and others' Earth rank was not? Or was it that his Earth stage was more powerful than others? Already equivalent to a heaven rank? Feng Tianhu couldn't figure it out. I say, Tianhu, is your information wrong? You sent my mystic late phase peak master to die, and your own Earth class mid phase master died as well. Why does that little bastard have so many masters by his side? The lady said sarcastically. She wasn't as angry about Sanlei's death anymore. Sister-in-law, this person wasn't sent by second brother. He's Su Shihan's friend. Feng Tianhu's heart was bleeding. He spent so much effort to train his trusted aides, an Earth-class mid-phase master Feng Erbing and a Mystic-class late-phase peak master Feng Sanku, but they died just like that. Wasn't it too unworthy? As expected, impulsiveness was the devil. Originally, he only wanted to borrow his sister-in-law's hand to kill Su Shihan and disgust Feng Tianlin a little. He wanted him to know the pain of losing his own flesh and blood, but he didn't think that his sister-in-law's subordinate, Feng Sanlei, would be defeated. Feng Tianhu panicked and sent his Earth-class mid-phase master Feng Erbing. He thought that it would be easy for an Earth-class mid-phase master to go to the common world and kill someone. But now, he didn't kill the person, and nothing happened to the other party, but his own people were all dead. This feeling made him want to puke blood. Feng Tianhu was depressed to death. There was no place for him to reason with. He didn't dare to tell the people within the Feng family, and he didn't dare to spread the news. If his father knew that he was dealing with his second brother's daughter, then he wouldn't have a good ending. Therefore, Feng Tianhu had no choice but to suffer in silence. I didn't expect that little girl to be so good at seducing people. She's as flirtatious as her mother. She actually got an even more powerful master. The lady said hatefully. Yeah, second sister-in-law, let's not talk about this for now. If this gets out, not only will we lose face, we won't be able to explain it to our father. Feng Tianhu reminded. He was afraid that his brainless sister-in-law would spill the news. That would be big trouble. Don't worry, I don't want to fight with your second brother. The lady said. We'll let that little bastard be arrogant for a while. When your second brother becomes the head of the family, I'll be the wife of the head of the family. At that time, it'll be easy to mobilize a few people to deal with that little bastard, huh? Feng Tianhu froze. He didn't expect his sister-in-law to be so brainless. Couldn't she see that his intentions were known to everyone? Didn't she know that he wanted to fight for the head of the family? What's wrong? The lady froze when she saw Feng Tianhu's weird expression. It's nothing, second sister-in-law. Go back and rest. I'll go see how Nidian is doing. Feng Tianhu didn't want to talk to his sister-in-law anymore. He turned around and walked to Nitian's room. In the room opposite Qingyi's in East Ocean Industry University's Shueshang Hotel, Zhang Duopan was drinking with Fan Ganhe. Qingyi was supposed to go shopping tonight, but she brought Lin Yi instead of him. Zhang Duopan felt that Lin Yi was his nemesis. His phone rang. Zhang Duopan took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. He froze. It was a hidden number. He couldn't see the caller ID, so he didn't know who it was. Usually, Zhang Duopan would just hang up when he got calls like this. Most of them were scams like winning a prize, and he didn't want to waste time with them. But after drinking, he was still pissed. He wanted to find someone to mess with. Since there was a scammer at his doorstep, he wouldn't hold back. Hello? Who are you looking for? Zhang Duopan picked up the phone. Zhang Duopan, right? The voice of a duck came from the other side. He couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It was as if the voice was changed through a voice changer. It made people feel uncomfortable. Who are you? Zhang Duopan frowned. He didn't expect the person to know his name. Don't care who I am. I'm here to give you good news. Don't worry about who I am. Fastest text update book Ocean Pavilion, no ads, the voice said. Good news? Or you? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Zhang Duopan was confused. The person seemed to be a scammer. Heh, if you don't want to get first place in the freshman party, then hang up. Pretend I didn't say anything. The person laughed coldly. Chapter 1998. Wait. Zhang Duopan was even more suspicious. Who was this person? They actually knew that he wanted to get first place in the freshman party? However, thinking about it carefully, this matter shouldn't be a secret. Bai Weituo had already posted on the campus forum. If it was a student of Donghai Industry University, they would naturally know about it. Therefore, after Zhang Duopan figured it out, he subconsciously thought that it was a student from Donghai Industry University who got his phone number and wanted to scam some money from him. However, he was too interested in what the other party had to say, so he didn't hang up the phone. Hee, classmate Zhang, why did you change your mind? Do you want to hear me out? The man with the croaky voice laughed and asked. You have a way for me to get first place? How much money do you want? Zhang Duopan asked. If I wanted money, I would have called you directly. Why would I call you anonymously? The man with the croaky voice smiled faintly. I don't want money. I just think you should get first place. I don't want money? Then why are you helping me? Are you that kind? Zhang Duopan secretly asked in his heart. To tell you the truth, I also hate that I don't want Lin Yi's class to get the award. Do you understand now? The man with the croaky voice didn't expect Zhang Duopan to not believe his words and said helplessly. So you are also Lin Yi's enemy. That's good. Zhang Duopan listened to the man's words and let out a sigh of relief. Then tell me your plan. It's simple. If Su Shirhan messes up during her performance, even if she's a superstar, the school's student council won't give them first place. Even if they give them second or third place as a consolation, it's already good enough, but first place is definitely out of the question. That is obviously biased. Even if the students don't agree, the school leaders won't agree. The man with the croaky voice said in one breath. What? You mean you want me to go cause trouble? Zhang Duopan roughly understood what the other party was trying to say. But if I go to cause trouble and get discovered by the school, wouldn't they be setting me up? When we find out the reason, even if they messed up, our class's program will also be finished, right? Hee, don't worry. The man with the croaky voice said, I have my own plan, otherwise I wouldn't be calling you. My plan will allow you to destroy Su Shirhan's performance without any responsibility, and the school won't find any trouble for you. Really? Zhang Duopan quickly asked. Then tell me, what should I do? Very simple. In the middle of Su Shirhan's performance, you need someone, preferably a girl, wearing a black windbreaker with messy hair. Splash some red paint or ink on the windbreaker to pretend to be blood, and then slowly walk past Su Shirhan. The man with the croaky voice said. What kind of move was this? Could it be that Su Shirhan was afraid? Zhang Duopan was dazed. He didn't think there was anything special about the man's idea. Humph, forget it if you don't believe me, pretend I didn't say anything. The man with the croaky voice wasn't happy that Zhang Duopan was still suspicious. It's not that I don't believe you, but you have to tell me why? Zhang Duopan smiled bitterly. There's no why, I can't tell you the reason. The man with the croaky voice said, you just need to know that this will affect Su Shirhan. Okay, what if the school asks? Zhang Duopan was still worried. Are you stupid? If they ask, can't you tell the girl to say that it's a costume? The man with the croaky voice said impatiently. That's right. Zhang Duopan nodded. This was a good idea. This way, even if it didn't work, he wouldn't have to take any responsibility. He could explain that it was a costume, and even if it didn't work, he wouldn't lose anything. Having a chance was better than having no chance at all. Thinking up to here, Zhang Duopan said, okay, thank you, I will do it. If that's the case, then I won't say any more. The man with the croaky voice said. Then, if it's done, how do I repay you? Zhang Duopan asked. No need. The man with the croaky voice said and hung up the phone. That's strange, could it be that he's Lin Yi's enemy? Zhang Duopan looked at the phone and shook his head strangely. He really didn't know why the man did this. It was completely one-sided to help him. What's wrong, Zhang bro? Fan Ganha quickly asked. It's like this. Just now a man with the croaky voice called me and said that he can help us get first place in the freshman party, beat Su Shirhan. Zhang Duopan said and repeated the man's words to Fan Ganha. This is a good thing, Zhang bro. Fan Ganha listened and said, it doesn't matter if it's useful or not, we won't lose anything by trying. I think so too. Then we have to hurry up, it's almost the freshman party. There's still a day tomorrow, so we have to get it done at night. Zhang Duopan said, Ganha, I'll leave this to you. Can you handle it? Don't worry, Zhang bro, I have a sister in another school. I'll ask her to come tomorrow night. No one knows her yet, no one will know. Fan Ganha nodded. Good, if what that man with the croaky voice said is true, then this is our chance. Zhang Duopan nodded. After a day of rehearsal, the medical major was quite familiar with it. They were full of confidence and prepared to participate in the freshman party. Does anyone have the confidence to get first place? After the last rehearsal, Su Shirhan waved her fist at everyone and asked. The answer was loud. With Su Shirhan participating, if they didn't get first place, then they might as well buy a piece of tofu and kill themselves. Although Yu Coiling Tiger, Yellow Hair, and Purple Hair weren't interested in performing on stage, this was more or less Boss Bai's honor. Boss Bai would be happy if they got first place, so Yu Coiling Tiger didn't dare to cause trouble. At night, the entrance of the school hall was decorated with lanterns and streamers. It was crowded with people. There were stalls set up by the student union everywhere. There were light sticks, drinks, snacks, and so on. Obviously, the student union was planning to earn some money from this event. Although the evening party was called the freshman party, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and even graduate students came to participate. Especially those student couples who arrived early in the auditorium, bought glow sticks and snacks, and took a good seat, ready to spend a romantic night. Chapter 1999. The freshman gala was like an art festival or sports day in a university. It was one of the most important activities in the university, and it was also the time for freshmen to show off their talents. Many handsome men and beautiful women among the freshmen hoped to find the other half of their lives through the stage of the freshman party. This was a precedent in previous years. Many men and women who liked each other would become friends after the freshman party. Therefore, everyone's enthusiasm for the freshman party was very high. Who said that university students didn't want to participate in group activities? That was because there was a lack of handsome guys and pretty girls. With this, why wouldn't they fight to see them? Of course, the pretty girls this year were Su Shirhan and Qingyi, the two big stars. With the support of celebrities, there would naturally be a lot of people attending. So this year's freshman gala was unprecedentedly popular. The glow sticks, drinks, and snacks that the student council had brought in were starting to run out. There was still 1 or 2 hours before the performance started, but everything was already sold out. Obviously, it was because of Su Shirhan and Ching Yi's celebrity effect. This year's performance had 2 celebrities supporting them, so the audience suddenly increased. But luckily, the school's auditorium was big enough. Even if all the teachers and students were here, there would still be enough seats. There were also seats on the 2nd and 3rd floor, but the good seats were already taken by the students who had arrived earlier. Of course, the first few rows were for freshmen. Older students weren't allowed to sit there. Even if they wanted to fight for a seat, they could only fight for the seats at the back. The student council realized that something was wrong, so they hurriedly brought in a large amount of glow sticks and snacks from the wholesale market. There were even some small banners with Su Shirhan and Ching Yi's names. They were really popular among the students. In the past freshman gala, it was already good enough if the auditorium was half full. But this year, it was practically full. Many students who couldn't find a seat in the front row were asking, "Students, is there anyone here?" "There's already someone here, Sai." The members of the student union, who were in charge of maintaining discipline in the auditorium, were sweating profusely from exhaustion. They had no choice but to urgently send more people to maintain order. The members of the school's television and radio stations had also chosen their positions long ago, ready to record the most popular freshman party in the past decade. At 6 at night, the annual freshman gala officially began. After the school leaders took their seats in the front row, the lights in the auditorium gradually went out. The male and female hosts in black suits and red evening gowns walked to the front of the stage behind the slowly rising curtain. The 2 hosts could be considered the prettiest girls in the school, and while they weren't at the top, they weren't as famous as Meng Yao, Yu Shu, or Xinyan, who had their names on the school's BBS list the moment they entered the school. The 2's elegance and handsomeness still won them a round of applause and cheers. However, both of them were second-year members of the student council, so most of the cheers were from the older students. The freshmen were only moved. "Dear leaders, teachers, students, good evening." The male host bowed and said, "I am the host, Lai Yinming." Lai Yinming's words caused another burst of screams from the audience. It seemed that Lai Yinming was also a celebrity in the university. "I'm the host, Su Xiaoxiao." The female host followed the male host and bowed. "May everyone have an unforgettable and enjoyable night." The 39th freshman party of Donghai Industry University begins now. Lai Yinming and Su Xiaoxiao announced together. Another round of applause sounded from the audience. The program of the gala officially began, and the first to go on stage was a group dance brought by the freshmen from the English department. Girls from the English department made up the majority of the students in the university, and the dancers were all beauties. As soon as they went on stage, there was a burst of cheers and screams from the audience. Along with the loud music, the spotlights flashed, and the students in the audience couldn't help but wave the glow sticks in their hands. After the English department dance, it was a boy from the computer science department who sang, "The Brother Who Slept on My Upper Bunk." This song had a strong campus vibe, and when the boy's melancholy and hoarse voice sounded, it completely won over the students in the audience. "The brother who slept on my upper bunk? You are silent. The questions you once asked me, now no one asks." Although there were very few bunk beds in the dorms, this song was about the friendship between dorm mates. Therefore, this song resonated with many students who had just moved into the dorm. The male student's voice wasn't very good, but the song he chose was very good. It resonated with all the students present. Even the freshmen, the seniors, and especially the seniors who were about to graduate, started singing along with him. Many people's eyes were already brimming with tears as they listened to the singing. This was a party to welcome the freshmen, but wasn't it also the last party for the seniors? Therefore, many people were filled with emotion. This song could be said to be a success. At the very least, it wouldn't make it out of the top 10. The first 2 programs could be said to be a good start. They were both very good, and they received good responses. However, the 3rd program, which was supposed to be the finale, had a problem. The 3rd program was a piano solo by a girl from the chemistry department. This girl was also a professional piano player with a grade 10 certificate. However, because it was her first time performing on such a big stage, she was probably a bit nervous. She played a few notes wrongly, and this caused the program to be ruined. Halfway through, the girl became more and more nervous. She suddenly dropped the piano and ran off the stage in tears. This immediately made the atmosphere of the scene awkward. According to the program schedule, the girl's piano solo would only end in about 10 minutes. This suddenly messed up the program schedule a bit. The male and female hosts quickly ran up to the stage to save the situation and said some comforting and encouraging words. The fourth program was a medical program. Fortunately, everyone had rehearsed well, so it didn't matter if they went on stage early. After some simple preparation, the curtain opened again. The props were already set up and everyone was in position. Under the cheerful music, the program began. Story of Youth was about life in school. It sang about the beautiful university life. There was love, friendship, and the nervous rush before exams. The theme of the whole song was the epitome of university life. Therefore, when Su Shirhan appeared, the atmosphere of the freshman party was pushed to a new level. Chapter 2000. At the same time, with Su Shirhan's appearance, the awkwardness caused by the piano solo was instantly dispelled, and the party became lively again. Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, I love you. The light sticks and banners were all waving in the air, and Su Shirhan's voice was like the sound of nature, instantly conquering the students in the arena. The previous shouts stopped in an instant, and everyone was immersed in Su Shirhan's voice without blinking. A few extras from the medical major also played their role, making the students feel like they were watching a live music video. It was very exciting. Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan sat quietly on the stage, acting as ordinary students. The effect was achieved, and Lin Yi was only there to join in the fun. One had to say this girl Su Shirhan was quite pretty. It was the first time Lin Yi saw Su Shirhan in a performance up close. No wonder so many people liked her. However, at the same time, a black figure was quietly approaching the bottom of the stage. This person was Fan Ganhe's sister, from another university, here to help cause trouble. At this moment, she was wearing a tattered black windbreaker, and her hair was disheveled, covering her face. Her body was covered in red marks, and she was dripping with blood, which was quite a scary sight. Student, what happened to you? One of the student union's people in charge of order saw Fan Ganhe's sister and jumped in shock. Oh, senior, this is the performance uniform. Our program is about to start. Fan Ganhe's sister said carefully. Oh, so it's the performance uniform. You scared me. I thought you got robbed. The member of the student union felt relieved. He waved his hand and said, then hurry up and get ready. Don't delay. Senior. Fan Ganhe's sister nodded and lowered her body as she walked down the stage. However, when she reached the center of the stage where Su Shirhan was, she suddenly stood up. He stood not far from Su Shirhan, allowing her to see what was going on. Su Shirhan was so engrossed in singing that it was impossible for her not to notice a person popping up in front of her. But when her eyes landed on Fan Ganhe's sister, she suddenly shivered, and a trace of panic and fear flashed through her eyes. In an instant, Su Shirhan felt the world spinning around her. Her head started to hurt again. This scene once again made her remember some things, some painful memories from her childhood, some things that she didn't want to remember. Su Shirhan's voice started to tremble, and her face turned pale. Haha, it's indeed powerful and effective. Zhang Duopan was watching the stage with his binoculars. When Fan Ganhe's sister came out, Su Shirhan's face changed. This made Zhang Duopan slap his thigh in excitement. That croaky voice really didn't lie to us. Su Shirhan is dead this time. That's great. Fan Ganhe also breathed a sigh of relief. As for Fan Ganhe's sister, seeing that she had achieved her goal, she quickly left. If she stayed for too long, she might get caught, and that wouldn't be fun. What Su Shirhan could see, Lin Yi and the others could naturally see as well. At first, everyone was wondering what that girl with red hair was doing, but when Lin Yi saw the change in Su Shirhan's face, he was shocked. Su Shirhan's headache this time was much worse than usual. Usually, it would suddenly happen, but it wasn't this serious. On the stage, Su Shirhan couldn't stop to take the painkiller, and she didn't bring it on the stage. Although it was a headache, Su Shirhan still tried her best to persevere. This was what she promised Lin Yi, and she didn't want to mess it up because of her headache. So, Although Su Shirhan's head was full of sweat, she still tried her best to persevere. Of course, under the stage, other than Zhang Duopan who was watching with binoculars, most people who didn't know Su Shirhan didn't notice anything wrong. Even if Su Shirhan's voice changed at that moment, everyone thought that Su Shirhan was too excited during the live performance, and so her voice changed occasionally. It wasn't a problem at all. However, Meng Yao and Yushu, who knew Su Shirhan well, could sense that something was wrong. Yao Yao sis, Shirhan sis seems to have a problem. Yushu observed more carefully. Don't tell me your headache is acting up again? This is troublesome. Meng Yao looked at Su Shirhan worriedly. Then what should we do? Yushu asked. I don't know, let's see if Lin Yi can solve it. Lin Yi frowned slightly. The performance was only half done, and the music video was an extended version, so it was more than 10 minutes. There were still 7 to 8 minutes left before it ended, and Su Shirhan obviously couldn't last that long. So Lin Yi stood up without hesitation and walked toward Su Shirhan. The song that Su Shirhan was singing was about the beautiful love in university, the expectation of a prince on a white horse. Lin Yi's cool figure suddenly appeared in front of Su Shirhan, as if he was the prince on a white horse in Su Shirhan's song, descending from the sky. Su Shirhan was a little surprised at Lin Yi's appearance. This wasn't a rehearsed scene, but after a moment, Su Shirhan understood Lin Yi's intention. Lin Yi must have seen her situation and was ready to help. As expected, Lin Yi reached out his hand and made a please gesture to Su Shirhan. If it was before yesterday, Su Shirhan would definitely not have any intimate actions with Lin Yi on the stage, because before yesterday, Su Shirhan only saw Lin Yi as a good friend, a savior. But now, although Lin Yi was still her good friend and savior, the two saviors were completely different. Treating a headache and saving a life were two different concepts. Su Shirhan couldn't help but think of Lin Yi's tall figure when she was singing about her love and expectation. Now that Lin Yi reached out his hand, Su Shirhan naturally wouldn't reject. Maybe he couldn't be her boyfriend, but he must be the one sent by the heavens. After meeting him, not only did he treat her headache, but he also saved her time and time again. It was impossible for Su Shirhan not to have a good impression of Lin Yi. Chapter 2013 E-Freshman Party, Part 2. So, Su Shirhan indulged herself once on the stage. Of course, it was also a suitable excuse to treat her headache. Lin Yi gently held Su Shirhan's hand, and this made the students in the audience go wild again. They didn't think that Su Shirhan would actually hold hands with a guy on the stage. This was too shocking. Although no one believed that the two of them had any relationship, it was still a big breakthrough for Su Shirhan. Hence, the audience started to scream, "Ow, ow." After holding Su Shirhan's hand, Lin Yi gently pulled Su Shirhan into his arms, and at this moment, Lin Yi quickly pressed on a few of Su Shirhan's acupuncture points. Waves of comfortable feeling came from Lin Yi's hands, and it made Su Shirhan feel relaxed. Yao Yao sis, do you think Shirhan sis is pretending to have a headache to seduce Shield Bro? Yushu used her suspicious spirit. She seemed to like Shield Bro a little yesterday. It can't be, right? Meng Yao frowned and said, Shirhan sis shouldn't be that kind of person. It should be true this time. Wasn't there a black shirt man wandering around the stage? Is it because of the black shirt man that made Shirhan sis's headache act up? It's also possible. Wow, they're actually hugging each other. Yushu pointed at the stage and exclaimed. Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were hugging each other, and she was a little suspicious. Su Shirhan had never had a scandal before, and it was even more impossible for her to be so close to a man, and this time, there must be something going on. We must ask them tonight. Yushu said. Meng Yao didn't say anything, but she was also a little suspicious. Lin Yi cured Su Shirhan's headache, and Su Shirhan just sang the lyrics of love. At this time, it was time to prepare for the final exam, so Lin Yi also returned to the previous seat and sat down. This impromptu performance was thought by the students below the stage to be rehearsed in advance. They all cheered excitedly, wishing that the performing boys on the stage were them. Of course, the students on the stage were also very curious. What was Lin Yi and Su Shirhan performing? This didn't seem to be rehearsed, right? But it wasn't convenient to ask on the stage, so they could only be confused for now. Finally, the song ended, and the curtains slowly closed. The performance was over, and Su Shirhan also breathed a sigh of relief. This performance was considered to have ended without any mishaps. Net. Lin bro, just now you and Su Shirhan. After getting off the stage, Bai Weiduo couldn't wait to ask in the preparation room backstage. Because Su Shirhan, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing had their own dressing room, Bai Weiduo didn't have to worry. It's nothing, Su Shirhan was a little uncomfortable just now, so I treated her. Lin Yi said simply, you guys didn't see it? It seems like something is wrong. Bai Weiduo remembered the situation after hearing Lin Yi's reminder. Su Shirhan really didn't seem to be right, so Lin Yi went to treat her. Is that so? I thought you had an affair with the big star. Zhao Xingji said disappointedly. What affair? Boss and Wang Xinyan are a couple, why would he flirt with Big Ming in front of sis-in-law? What's with your eyes? Song Xiaodao believed Lin Yi's words. As for the other students in the class, because they weren't familiar with Lin Yi, and after hearing the truth from Lin Yi, they naturally weren't curious anymore. They all changed their clothes and prepared to watch other professional performances. Back to their seats, Wang Xinyan was still sitting next to Lin Yi, and Han Jingjing was sitting on the other side of Wang Xinyan. Wang Xinyan didn't ask about what happened before, only quietly watching the performance, as if she didn't see Su Shirhan and Lin Yi hugging each other. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, was even worse. The others were watching the performance, but she was playing with her tablet. It was fine if she was playing games, but when Lin Yi glanced at it, it wasn't. On Han Jingjing's screen, there were a lot of formulas and data that Lin Yi couldn't understand. He didn't know what she was writing. Zhang Duopan was furious. He was about to succeed, but in the end, Lin Yi hugged Su Shirhan and everything was solved. Su Shirhan seemed to have returned to normal. Although Zhang Duopan didn't know how Lin Yi did it, he hated Lin Yi to the bone for ruining his plan. He wanted to kill Lin. Originally, if Su Shirhan made a mistake, the first place would definitely be Qing Yi's, but now Qing Yi had to settle for second place. Especially when he heard the praises from the other students, Zhang Duopan was even more annoyed. It's so beautiful, so university life is so beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I also hope that a Prince Charming will fall from the sky. I thought university life was boring, but now it seems like it's just the beginning. I'm so envious. So nostalgic, all of this, we've experienced it before. A fourth-year student also sighed. And these voices were undoubtedly affirmation for the medical program. Zhang Duopan's face was extremely ugly. Fuck, can you guys be quiet for a second? Good, my ass. Fan Ganha saw Zhang Duopan's face was not good, so he stood up and said angrily to the students around him. Who do you think you are? Do you think I won't cut your head off and hang it on a telephone pole? Although Li Biaohan hated Lin Yi, he was Su Shirhan's fan. Hearing Fan Ganha arguing in front of him, he was immediately annoyed. Fan Ganha had heard about the few ruthless people in the school. Seeing it was Li Biaohan, he was so scared that he didn't even dare to fart and quickly sat back down. Forget it, it's our turn soon, go get ready. Zhang Duopan said with a gloomy face. He was still able to keep his composure. Although the plan failed, his class's program had to go all out. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha stood up and walked to the backstage preparation room. Since he already found an excuse to lose, it didn't matter if he didn't succeed this time. Meiyue, Bai Weiduo's performance was very successful. Chai Shaoling giggled while eating chips and said to Meiyue, this time, Zhang Duopan will definitely lose. Eat your chips, Zhao Xingji bought these for you, right? That foodie, be careful he'll turn you into a big fat girl. Meiyue said angrily. Chapter 2001. She was a little annoyed. She knew Zhang Duopan's personality too well. If he said that he would give up on her after losing this time, then the sun would rise from the west. At that time, Zhang Duopan would have to find an excuse to make Meiyue helpless. No, Zhao Xingji said that I'm too skinny, hee. Shaoling said, Meiyue sis, why don't you eat some too? Why aren't you happy? Could it be that the person you like is Zhang Duopan? You eat, I'm not eating. He Meiyue waved her hand. I'm worried that Zhang Duopan won't let this go. He might suggest other competitions, and then there'll be no end to it. Sigh, beauties have their own troubles. Us girls who aren't that outstanding don't have much to worry about. Only Zhao Xingji has no choice. Xiaoling shrugged. He's good to you, cherish him. He Meiyue said. It was Zhang Duopan's class's turn to perform. Although Cheng Yi participated and successfully stirred up the enthusiasm of the students, Cheng Yi's song was a level lower than Su Shihan's. Her song was a dance type. It was nice to listen to, but it didn't have the charm of university life. Obviously, even if she wasn't as famous as Su Shihan, she wouldn't be able to be ranked higher than Su Shihan. But even so, the show was still considered very successful and received a lot of praise. Lin bro, this time we'll definitely be number one. Zhang Duopan's program is not bad, but it's still lacking compared to us. Bai Weitua said excitedly. Ah. Lin thought it was just luck that we won. If he wasn't on the stage, then this program would definitely be a mess. But who was it that knew Su Shihan's secret, and even knew how to cause her headache? Could it be Zhang Duopan? But how did Zhang Duopan know? What Lin Yi was sure of was that the woman in the black windbreaker with red paint all over her body was the culprit behind Su Shihan's headache, but this was a secret that even a doctor like Lin Yi didn't know. How did Zhang Duopan know about it? I'm afraid these things are all secrets in the entertainment industry, right? Big brother Lin, I'm going to invite He Meiyue and her roommates to dinner tonight. Why don't you join us? Bai Weitua invited. Is this also our celebration feast? I'm afraid I can't tonight. Su Shihan was invited by me. It's not right if I don't treat her to dinner. Linny said. She'll probably leave tomorrow. Linny said. Big brother Lin, I have a favor to ask of you. Bai Weitua asked shamelessly. What's the matter? Lin asked. Meiyue is Su Shihan's fan. Before, when we rehearse, we always lock the door, not letting people from other classes to disturb us. And as the class monitor, I can't open the back door to let He Meiyue in, so until now, He Meiyue hasn't met Su Shihan face to face. Bai Weitua said, So, can you bring Su Shihan to dinner tonight? It's my treat. Lin looked at Bai Weitua's expectant face and didn't reject. But if that's the case, we don't need too many people, just our roommates and Xinyan's roommates. Maybe Meng Yao and Yushu will come too. That's great. Bai Weitua said, Don't worry, there won't be too many people, I'll text Meiyue now. Wait, let me ask Su Shihan first. Lin Yi waved his hand and interrupted Bai Weitua's action. That's fine. Bai Weitua just remembered that Su Shihan hadn't agreed yet. If he told He Meiyue first and she didn't come in the end, it would be a big loss of face. Lin Yi called Su Shihan. At this moment, Su Shihan should be accompanied by Feng Sanhuang, resting in the lounge backstage with Cheng Yi. After all, these two stars were the school's VIPs. It wasn't strange for them to have their own lounge. Lin Yi, Su Shihan picked up the phone quickly. Han, are you free tonight? Let's go for dinner? Lin asked. Dinner tonight? Of course, no problem. Just the two of us? Su Shihan's heart suddenly jumped. She was looking forward to it. Also by Weitua's roommates and Xinyan's roommates. Lin Yi said, Yao Yao and Shu might come. Oh. Su Shihan was slightly disappointed, but her face was still relaxed. Sure. Shiji, is Lin Yi treating us to dinner? Cheng Yi came over and asked. Yeah. Oh right Yi, are you coming? Su Shihan nodded. Of course. Don't say that Hero Lin is treating us to dinner. Even if he didn't, I would still treat him to thank him for saving my life yesterday. Cheng Yi said. That's great. Su Shihan said to Lin. Lin Yi is going too. Okay, let's go together. Lin Yi didn't mind having one more person. After hanging up the phone, Su Shihan looked at Cheng Yi meaningfully. I say, this isn't like you. Usually, when people treat you to dinner, you don't go. Even if Zhang Duopan's father and you are working together, he invited you to dinner, but you didn't go? Isn't it different? Hero Lin risked his life to protect us yesterday. Since he's treating, of course, I have to go. Cheng Yi said matter-of-factly. Of course? Su Shihan frowned and looked at Cheng Yi mischievously. Yi, don't tell me you're moved? You saw Lin Yi so handsome yesterday, and you fell in love at first sight? Humph, so what? Cheng Yi didn't care. Since ancient times, beauties have always loved heroes. Hansis, aren't you moved? I just think that Lin Yi is a real man. If I can be his woman, I'll feel so safe. Yi, are you for real? Su Shihan's eyes widened. Of course it's fake. Ha. Cheng Yi giggled. I do admire him, but I've never thought about getting a boyfriend. I just debuted, and I've always been walking the innocent route. If I get a boyfriend now, I'm afraid it'll have a big impact. But Hansis, you should get a boyfriend now. Why don't you date Lin Yi for a bit, and when you're done playing, give him to me. Me? Hem. Su Shihan choked on Cheng Yi's words. Playing what? What the hell are you playing? I'm not joking. Hansis, are you hiding something? Cheng Yi smiled at Su Shihan. What are you nervous about? Chapter 2002. It's not that I'm nervous, it's just that you shouldn't say things like that. It'll be bad if there's a misunderstanding, Su Shihan said. After getting the news that Su Shihan was going, Bai Weitua called he Meiyue immediately. Meiyue, are you free tonight? Let's have dinner together. Our show was very successful, it's a celebration. Tonight? He Meiyue was helpless because Zhang Duopan just called her and invited her to dinner. Zhang Duopan also said that he could invite Cheng Yi, but he Meiyue didn't agree. Since she didn't like Zhang Duopan, she didn't want to be too close to him. Not long after Zhang Duopan called, Bai Weitua called again. He Meiyue didn't know what to do. Although she didn't hate Bai Weitua, if she agreed to Bai Weitua and rejected Zhang Duopan would definitely be very angry. It wouldn't be good if he did something bad. Yeah, Lin Bro invited Su Shihan and Cheng Yi too. They are all your favorite stars. Zhang Duopan said. Su Shihan is going too? He Meiyue was a little surprised. Su Shihan was her favorite star. If it was only Cheng Yi, he Meiyue would be a little hesitant. But since Su Shihan was going, he Meiyue naturally couldn't let go of this rare opportunity. One had to know that among Su Shihan's fans, there weren't many who got Su Shihan's autograph, and there weren't many who got to take photos with her, let alone having dinner together. Therefore, he Meiyue nodded and agreed almost without thinking, okay, then let's go together tonight. Okay, let's meet in the parking lot tonight. Bai Weitua said happily. Bai Weitua just hung up the phone and was about to thank Lin Yi when he heard the students beside him screaming. He suddenly raised his head in confusion. Lin Yi wasn't watching the show, but when he heard the scream, he looked at the stage and saw Mengyao and Yushu. What surprised Lin Yi was that there were a total of 4 people on the stage. They were wearing black leather clothes, sexy but not revealing, and they were performing a popular modern jazz dance. Mengyao and Yushu entered the school as soon as they entered. The top girl of S school's beauty leader, the other 2 girls in her dorm weren't particularly pretty, but their bodies were incredibly hot. Mengyao and Yushu, on the other hand, were a combination of one tall and one short. The 4 of them looked extremely well proportioned together, and the moment they stepped onto the stage, the crowd cheered. Big brother Lin, aren't those the 2 school beauties that your relative asked you to look after? Bai Weitua recognized the girls as well. They're so pretty. But I'll be lucky if I can get he Meiyue. This is something I can't even imagine. Lin Yi shook his head and didn't say anything, but Xinyan and Han Jingjing both raised their heads and stared at the stage. Xinyan didn't mind, but Han Jingjing put down her tablet and looked at the stage. Lin Yi was more or less surprised. The dance was over, and it attracted a lot of praise from the students. Han Jingjing lowered her head again and went back to studying her tablet, no longer looking at the stage. Han Jingjing, what are you doing? Lin Yi couldn't hold it in anymore. Studying pill refining. Han Jingjing said. Pill refining? You're writing and drawing on your tablet, calculating all these random things. You're making pills? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open. Yes, these are some physical formulas for temperature and heat energy in alchemy, as well as chemical formulas for the reactions between various medicinal materials, and some mathematical formulas for time. Han Jingjing said seriously, of course, there are some other formulas. Lin Yi was stunned by Han Jingjing's words. You could use formulas to derive pills? This was the first time Lin Yi heard of this. This Han Jingjing really was a genius. But Lin Yi didn't say anything to her. She could study it if she wanted to, as long as she didn't ask him why. What's wrong, Lin Yi bro? Is there something wrong? Why do you have a weird expression on your face? Han Jingjing asked. Ahem. Lin Yi was just thinking that Han Jingjing didn't ask him why, but she started asking now. It made Lin Yi speechless. There's nothing wrong with it, but your method of studying pills is really unique. Yeah, Lin Yi bro, I think I'll be able to come up with a method that combines modern science and ancient medicine. I'll become a very, very powerful refiner. Han Jingjing nodded. All right, continue your research. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He thought that if this girl wasn't a genius, then she was crazy. But from her usual behavior, it was more likely that she was crazy. Lin Yi sent a text to Meng Yao and Yushu, asking them if they wanted to have dinner together. Naturally, the two of them said yes without hesitation. Su Shihan was participating in the banquet, so they couldn't miss it. Lin Yi, on the other hand, felt a little nervous when he saw the reply. Meng Yao and Yushu didn't seem to be very friendly with Wang Xinyan. The miss was fine, but Shu might say something embarrassing. That would be a little embarrassing. After all, this was the first time Meng Yao and Yushu had dinner with their roommates and Xinyan. Lin Yi had only asked out of politeness, not thinking that they could join. After all, their dorm had a performance, so it was more likely that they would go to dinner together. Lin Yi shook his head. He could only take it one step at a time. Finally, the freshman party came to an end amidst the cheers. The winners of the freshman party would be announced tomorrow. As on top of it, Lin Yi, Bai Weituo, Zhao Xingji, Song Xiaodao, and Xinyan walked to the car park together. Shihan and Qin Yi, on the other hand, had already left the hall and were waiting for Lin Yi in the car. Otherwise, if the students came out together and saw Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, they would definitely surround them. Even now, there were still some students looking around for Su Shihan and Cheng Yi. At this time, He Meiwei and Chai Shaoling also arrived at the parking lot, but Lan Xiaoru was not there. Meiwei, where's Xiaoru? Bai Weituo walked over and asked. Xiaoru and her boyfriend have things to do, so they didn't attend today's freshman party, He Meiwei said. What's so important that you can't even attend the freshman's gala? Bai Weituo was a little surprised. Chapter 2003. Who knows? He Meiwei shook her head and didn't say much. In the dorm, Lan Xiaoru was the odd one out. She didn't fit in with the others and she didn't talk much. Meiwei, what do you think? Have you thought about it? Why don't you accept my invitation and have a celebratory feast with Cheng Yi? At this time, an irritating voice rang out. It was Zhang Duopan. Seeing Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe walk over, He Meiwei smiled bitterly. If she went with Bai Weituo, Zhang Duopan would definitely be unhappy and say something hurtful. After all, Zhang Duopan was her high school classmate. She didn't want their relationship to be too bad. If she didn't go with Bai Weituo, it would be the same as standing her up. So He Meiwei was in a dilemma. Cheng Yi? Bai Weituo was surprised to hear Zhang Duopan's words. That's right, it's Cheng Yi. Zhang Duopan saw Bai Weituo's surprised look and said proudly, Yi's program tonight was very successful. I'm going to invite her to celebrate with us. Oh, so you didn't invite her? Bai Weituo realized. He was surprised because Cheng Yi said that she would attend Lin Yi's party with Su Shihan. Why did she go to Zhang Duopan's party? Zhang Duopan thought that he could invite Cheng Yi, but in fact, he hadn't invited her yet. So what? I'll invite her now. Zhang Duopan took out his phone and was about to call Cheng Yi. EF equals? Net Yi made a phone call. Sorry you're late. Big brother Lin has already invited Su Shihan and Cheng Yi to the celebration party with us. Meiwei will be there too, right Meiwei? Bai Weituo looked at Zhang Duopan provocatively and asked He Meiwei. I'm sorry, Zhang Duopan. You know I like Su Shihan. He Meiwei smiled bitterly. In the end, she still pushed herself into this whirlpool. What? Zhang Duopan's face sank when he heard Bai Weituo's words. He didn't expect Bai Weituo to get ahead of him and let Lin invite Cheng Yi as well. This put him in a difficult position. He couldn't advance nor retreat. He didn't know what to say. Sorry, student Zhang, we have to go. Bai Weiduo waved to Zhang Duopan and said, Wait. After a short period of awkwardness, Zhang Duopan didn't want to give up, so he laughed at Bai Weiduo and said, It turns out that Chengyi said that you guys are going to the dinner tonight. That's great, let's go together. What do you mean? Bai Weiduo was stunned. Chengyi also invited you? Yeah, I told Chengyi a few days ago that I would treat everyone to dinner after the performance. However, Chengyi said that there would be someone else at dinner tonight, so I didn't think much about it. So it's you guys. Zhang Duopan laughed and said, Since we're all classmates, we're naturally familiar with each other. Let's go together. Bai Weiduo didn't know what to do after hearing Zhang Duopan's words. He looked at Lin Yi, hoping that Lin Yi could call Chengyi down and ask her what was going on. However, Lin Yi was very calm. Bai Weiduo was just angered by Zhang Duopan, but Lin didn't believe Zhang Duopan's words at all. Zhang Duopan said that he didn't invite Chengyi at all. How could he know that there would be someone else at dinner tonight? If it was really planned a few days ago, could it be that Chengyi could predict the future and predict that Lin Yi would treat Su Shirhan to a meal today, and that she would join in on the fun? Therefore, Zhang Duopan's words were 99% false. Lin Yi didn't need to find Chengyi to verify it at all. But if he called Chengyi out, it would be difficult. At that time, Chengyi wouldn't be able to refuse or agree. Moreover, she would think that he suspected that she invited Zhang Duopan, which would be even more embarrassing. Of course, the most important thing was that Meiyue wasn't Bai Weiduo's girlfriend yet. Lin Yi had no reason to chase her away. Everything depended on Meiyue and Bai Weiduo. However, just when Bai Weiduo didn't know what to do, a heavenly voice rang in his ears, making Bai Weiduo cry. Oh, so you're the rich guy that Sister Shirhan mentioned. She told me that we don't need to spend money today. There's a rich guy paying the bill and treating us to the most luxurious hotel in Donghai City, Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant. The owner of the voice was naturally Yushu. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly when he heard this voice. It seemed that evil people needed to be dealt with by evil people. Ha! Zhang Duopan's eyes widened after listening to Yushu's words. He was speechless. He didn't know whether to admit it or not. If he admitted it, it meant that he was the rich guy. If he didn't admit it, then he obviously couldn't attend the dinner tonight. Because he had already said before that he and Chengyi had agreed to treat everyone to dinner after the performance. Of course, he could say that he would treat them tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, but he had nothing to do today. After weighing the pros and cons, so be it. Zhang Duopan laughed and said, Miss Su, you really know how to joke. But to be able to treat two celebrities to a meal, even if he is a rich guy, not everyone can do it. Yes, it has to be a special rich guy like classmate Zhang. Yushu nodded and said, I heard that the seafood in the Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant is flown in from abroad. The price is very expensive. A meal will cost tens of thousands of yuan, right? And the wine, ordinary rich guys can't afford it. Zhang Duopan was shocked when he heard that a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan, and that didn't include the wine. He didn't spend much to invite Chengyi, but a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan. Although his family was rich, his pocket money was limited. Otherwise, he wouldn't be driving an Aura. He would have bought a sports car. Since classmate Zhang is the host that Su Shirhan said will treat us, then let's go. Bai Weiduo calmed down and understood the crux of the matter. Since Zhang Duopan shamelessly wanted to follow them, then they wouldn't mind mocking him. It's just tens of thousands of yuan, it's nothing. Now that things had come to this, Zhang Duopan had no choice but to go. He glared at the talkative Big Bab Shu and thought to himself, this girl has big boobs, but she's not brainless. With just one sentence, she made me a rich guy and even lost tens of thousands. Yao Shu, you guys are here. Lin Yi nodded to them and said, get in the car. I really don't know where this Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant is. You guys lead the way. Chapter 2004. Meng Yao, Yushu, Xinyan Meiyue, and Xiaoling got on Lin Yi's jeep, while Bai Weiduo, Zhao Xingji, and Song Xiaodao got on Zhang Duopan's Aurora. This made Zhang Duopan quite annoyed. There was no fun in a car full of old men. Lin Yi called Feng Sanhuang and told him to go to the Northern Ice seafood restaurant. Feng Sanhuang's car had a GPS, and it was easy to find the place. Lin Yi and the others just needed to follow behind the SUV. Shu, you're really bad. This Northern Ice seafood restaurant's really expensive. I heard that the average person spends tens of thousands. Didn't they say a meal costs tens of thousands? Lin Yi said, shocked. Yeah, a meal costs tens of thousands. That Zhang Duopan is stupid, he didn't even ask. Yushu nodded. He Meiyue, Xiaoling and Xinyan looked at Yushu, cold sweat forming on their backs. This girl was a little too cruel. The 3 cars stopped in front of the Northern Ice Ocean seafood restaurant, and Su Shihan and Qing Yi were dressed like they were last night. No one could tell who they were from the outside. Zhang Duopan got off the car and looked at the Northern Ice seafood restaurant signboard. He was shocked. This building was as luxurious as a palace. How could he afford it? Other than sports cars, there were Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and other luxurious cars, all of which cost less than $1 million. This made Zhang Duopan nervous. But he was already here, and he couldn't go back on his word. He gritted his teeth and walked into the hotel with Fan Ganha. The group was warmly welcomed as they entered the door. A row of waiters greeted them warmly, and a male and a female receptionist brought them to the restaurant to order. This kind of service was worth a lot of money, and it made Zhang Duopan regret coming here. He was afraid that he would really become a rich man today. In the dining hall, there were huge aquarium tanks all around. They were filled with all kinds of live seafood, giving everyone the feeling that they had entered a marine museum. Of course, the price tags on the aquarium tanks were not cheap either. Basically, the starting price was in the tens of thousands of dollars. Zhang Duopan almost fell to the ground when he saw this. How could a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan? If a few people ate it, it would cost at least a few $100,000. This place is not bad. How much is the average consumption here? Zhang Duopan's heart was bleeding, but he still pretended to be casual and asked the waiter. About 70,000 to 80,000 for seafood, sir, the waiter who ordered the dishes said. Zhang Duopan was taken aback. 70 to 80,000 for one person? This Yushu sure knew how to scam people. He was about to say something when Yushu spoke up. 70,000 to 80,000 for one person isn't that expensive, right, Yao Yao sis? Yushu said. Zhang Duopan was speechless. So she said 70,000 to 80,000 for one person? Zhang Duopan's heart was already starting to throb. He was thinking about how he was going to get money from his dad if he didn't have enough. The more he thought about it, the more Zhang Duopan hated Yushu. Yushu had a cute face and a big chest, but in Zhang Duopan's eyes, she was a little devil. He wouldn't let this girl go if he had the chance. The consumption here is so high. Then let's order less seafood and more stir-fried dishes? Su Shihan was a kind person. She didn't want to scam Zhang Duopan. Looking at Zhang Duopan's face, it was obvious that he couldn't take it anymore. Qing Yi and Zhang Duopan's father's company were partners, so Su Shihan didn't want Qing Yi to be in a difficult position. Yeah, stir-fried dishes are healthy. Zhang Duopan heard Su Shihan's words and wanted to hug and kiss her. She was his savior, but he didn't dare to do so. Yes, seafood. Eating too much on such a cold day will give you a stomachache. Even the sports students in our sports department don't dare to eat so much. Fan Ganha quickly echoed. Yushu saw that Su Shihan said so she didn't continue to scam Zhang Duopan. He was much poorer than Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Wen. As long as he didn't go against Shield Bro, Yushu would let him go for now. With Su Shihan taking the lead, everyone naturally focused on the stir-fried dishes. Although these things weren't cheap, they were much cheaper than seafood. For seafood, they only ordered crab and prawns. It didn't cost much. After the meal, it only cost 100,000. Zhang Duopan let out a sigh of relief. The pocket money in his card, after deducting the payment for Qing Yi, was still enough to treat everyone. But in the future, he couldn't spend so much money. He could only live his life nervously. After ordering, everyone went to the private room. It's my treat today. Everyone eat and drink well. Zhang Duopan's money couldn't go to waste. He acted like the host. Yeah, we can order when it's not enough. Otherwise, Zhang Duopan won't be happy if we don't eat well, Yushu added. Actually, I think the abalones here are all alive. We should order some abalones. I've never eaten such a big abalone before. Bai Weitua said as he gestured with his hands. Abalone is actually not that tasty, and it doesn't look good. Since there are girls here, let's not order it. Zhang Duopan was so scared that his legs almost cramped. He had seen the price of abalone before. That was a one-headed abalone that cost tens of thousands of yuan per catty. It was simply the best of the abalone. Even his father had not eaten it before, let alone him. So what if there are girls here? Bai Weiduo rolled his eyes and knew what Zhang Duopan was implying. He pretended not to understand and asked, why can't girls order abalones? Why doesn't abalones look good? Zhang Duopan thought that Bai Weiduo really didn't understand and was afraid that he wouldn't stop, so he whispered to him, ahem. Lower your voice. It's just that girls don't usually call it abalone. Usually, as long as someone said this, the listener would smile knowingly and not say anything more. But Bai Weiduo still widened his eyes and shouted, girls? Where is that? What here and there? Zhang Duopan, what are you talking about? If you can't afford abalones, just say it. What's the point of coming up with so many mysterious phrases? Chapter 2005. As Bai Weitua shouted, everyone turned to look at them. At first, Zhang Duopan's words didn't attract much attention, but now that they thought about it, Su Shihan, Cheng Yi, and even the miss all blushed. Fuck, it's a black fungus. Do you understand? Zhang Duopan was pissed off by Bai Weiduo. Seeing everyone looking at them, he decided to go all out and shouted. Black fungus? Abalone is black fungus? Bai Weiduo looked at Zhang Duopan in confusion. Zhang Duopan, are you sick? Your abalone is black fungus? Bai Weiduo, are you fucking doing this on purpose? Zhang Duopan didn't believe that Bai Weiduo didn't understand black fungus, unless this guy didn't go on the school's forum. But this guy had clearly posted before, how could he not go on it? So Bai Weiduo was obviously pretending to be dumb. That's why Zhang Duopan was angry. On purpose? Bai Weiduo froze and then realized. You said abalone and black fungus, so that's what you meant. Why are you such a low-class person, saying this in a restaurant? Why don't you say it in a nightclub? Zhang Duopan was pissed, but seeing Bai Weiduo's innocent look, he couldn't do anything. Looking at the girl's looks of disdain, Zhang Duopan cursed his bad luck. It didn't matter how others looked at him, but he Mayway wouldn't think that he was a low-class person, right? Fuck, don't be too happy. If you can, why don't you treat us? Zhang Duopan sneered. I'll pay the bill. Bai Weiduo wanted to say that he would pay the bill, but when he suddenly thought of the price of this meal, he suddenly became listless. If he spent more than 100,000 yuan on a meal, wouldn't his grandfather peel off his skin when he returned? If you don't want to treat us, then you can leave now. This meal is on me. Lin Yi looked at Zhang Duopan. Zhang Duopan heard Lin Yi's words and suddenly realized that he came here shamelessly. If he didn't treat them, then Lin Yi wouldn't bring him along anymore. If he left like this, although he could save hundreds of thousands, what would he Mayway think? Thinking up to here, Zhang Duopan squeezed out a smile. I was just joking with Bai Weiduo. Joke? No one is joking with you. Today is the last time you can treat Mayway to a meal. When the results of the school's art festival come out tomorrow, you will lose this opportunity forever. You should cherish it. Bai Weiduo looked gratefully at Lin Yi and said to Zhang Duopan. Why is that? So what if the result is out? Zhang Duopan shrugged indifferently. What? Zhang Duopan, are you trying to act shamelessly? Last time at the KTV, we already made a bet. In this year's freshman party, whoever gets the highest ranking in the program will have the right to pursue He Mayway, and the loser will have to give up on Mayway. Could it be that student Zhang has a bad memory? Do you want me to help you recall? Bai Weiduo sneered at Zhang Duopan. Oh, you're talking about that. Although you guys might get first, it's not because of your abilities. It's because of the superstar, Su Shihan. What does that have to do with you guys? Zhang Duopan smiled faintly. So, it doesn't count. Not counted? You guys broke the rules first and invited Cheng Yi, okay? Bai Weitua froze and said angrily. We did break the rules, so it doesn't count even if we win. But I didn't ask you to learn from her. You guys broke the rules yourself, so who can you blame? Zhang Duopan shrugged and made a "what can you do about it" expression. Didn't you say that each person would have a program? As long as it's someone involved in the planning, it's fine. You didn't say we can't invite celebrities. Bai Weiduo was furious. He didn't expect Zhang Duopan to be so shameless. Freshman party? Freshman party. Don't you know what it is? That's a party for freshmen. You have freshmen on the stage, that's a freshman party. If you invite celebrities, that's a concert. Zhang Duopan said. You're inviting external help, not just freshmen. Of course, it doesn't count. Bai Weiduo was enraged by Zhang Duopan's words, but he couldn't refute it. This guy insisted on the word freshman, and Bai Weiduo couldn't do anything about it. Who asked him to invite outsiders? Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect Zhang Duopan to be so shameless. But looking at his face, he knew that even if Bai Weiduo won fair and square, he wouldn't admit defeat and find some other excuse. Zhang Duopan is right. We're just joking. We're classmates with Mei Yue. We can't break off our friendship just because of a bet. Fan Ganha added. Lin Yi smiled coldly in his heart. As expected, even if they lost completely, they still had an excuse. But this was Bai Weiduo's business. Lin Yi didn't want to get involved. After all, there was no reason. If it involved Wang Xinyan, Lin Yi naturally couldn't let him go. Soon, the wine and food were placed on the table in turn, and Zhang Duopan proudly raised his glass. First of all, thank you, Yi and Shirhan, for coming to my dinner party. Mei Yue and I are both your fans. It's a great honor to be able to eat together. Bai Weiduo rolled his eyes in disdain. Su Shirhan was invited by Lin Yi, but from his mouth, it sounded like he was the one who invited her. Wow, this prawn is so delicious. She'll bro, try it. Yushu picked up a big prawn and put it on Lin Yi's plate. She didn't put Zhang Duopan in her eyes at all. She let Zhang Duopan stand there. He couldn't continue talking or sit down. Yeah, brother Lin, the dishes here are really good. If it weren't for Big Kai's treat, I wouldn't be able to eat it. Bai Weiduo also nodded and said, Brother Lin, let sister-in-law try it too. What? Lin Yi glared at Bai Weiduo and thought to himself, does this kid not know the situation? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't seem to be interested in Xinyan at all, and yet this guy was calling her sis-in-law? Bai Weiduo, don't call me that. There's nothing going on between me and Lin. Xinyan waved her hand, embarrassed that Bai Weiduo was talking about her in front of so many people. People are calling me and Sister Yao Yao. Who is calling you? You think too highly of yourself. Yushu said as she looked at Xinyan. I was thinking too much? Xinyan pointed at herself, not sure if she should laugh or cry. She wasn't the type of person who liked to argue, so she just shook her head and said nothing. Bai Weiduo saw that he was in trouble, so he quickly shut up and didn't dare to make another sound. However, Zhang Duopan seemed to have discovered a new continent. Chapter 2006. Zhang Duopan purposely raised his voice. Gan He, do you see that? Xinyan and Lin Yi have nothing to do with each other. You can go after her without worry. Lin Yi has girlfriends and 2 of them. Go after your sister. Yushu wasn't happy. She didn't like Xinyan being so close to Lin Yi, but Xinyan might be someone Lin Yi liked, otherwise he wouldn't be helping her all the time. Since Xiao Xiao wanted Lin Yi to find another girlfriend, Xinyan might be able to take the position, and now Zhang Duopan was trying to butt in. She wasn't happy at all. This was an internal conflict. What did it have to do with him? Go after his sister? Fan Ganha blinked. His sister's only 10, she's not suitable for me. Ganhe, go after your sister, that's a curse. Zhang Duopan explained, a little embarrassed. Girl, you're cursing me? Fan Ganha slammed the table and stood up, pointing at Yushu. Our Zhang bro is treating us today, why do you have to be so annoying? Leave if you don't want to eat. He'd been pissed off at Yushu for a long time. This girl had been messing with him from the very beginning, and even now, her mouth wasn't idle. She'd even made fun of his goddess, Wang Xinyan. He couldn't take it anymore. Ahem. Ganha, you sit down first? We're polite people? Zhang Duopan jumped when he saw Himeyue's disdainful look. He quickly pulled Ganha back before turning to Yushu. Sorry, Fan Ganha's a sports student, he's a little hot-tempered. Don't mind him. Fan Ganha didn't know what was going on. Usually, Zhang Duopan would be happy when he stood up for Zhang Duopan. What was going on today? But since Fan Ganha wanted him to sit down, he had no choice but to sit down. So what if he's a sports student? If he meets a real master, he'll beat the crap out of him. Bai Weiduo said flatly. Okay, everyone stop fighting. Let's eat. The dishes will be cold in a while. Himeiwe said helplessly, today, the two big stars are here. Don't be so childish, okay? That's true. Fan Ganha, don't fight with Bai Weiduo. If you're not convinced, then find an opportunity to have a fight. Don't the school have those clubs? When the time comes, we can just borrow a venue. Zhang Duopan was smart. He acted as if it had nothing to do with him. It was all Fan Ganha and Bai Weiduo's quarrel. His last sentence was extremely hateful. It was simply targeted at Bai Weiduo. If they were to compete, Bai Weiduo, who was not a sports student, would definitely be at a disadvantage. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, on the other hand, felt that this childish fight was quite amusing. When they were done, Su Shihan raised her cup and said, "All right, I'll say a few words. Thank you everyone for your hospitality, but Yi and I have to catch a plane tomorrow morning, so let's hurry up and eat, we can go back and rest earlier." With Su Shihan's words, Fan Ganha was silent for a while. Everyone enjoyed the meal. Lin Yi, a toast to you. Cheng Yi suddenly raised her cup and looked at Lin Yi with anticipation. This was the first glass of wine she poured in the entire meal. Although it was red wine, it was clear that she treated Lin Yi differently. Before, she and Su Shihan had drinks with them. Toast to me. Lin Yi was slightly taken aback. Yeah, for yesterday, I really have to thank you. Cheng Yi said solemnly. I'll drink this glass of wine, you can do whatever you want. Speaking of which, I also want to toast to Lin Yi. Let's drink together. With that, Su Shihan poured herself a glass of wine and held it up. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, understood what had happened last night. The others, on the other hand, were completely confused. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't want to explain at all. He raised his cup and said faintly, nothing. And so, the atmosphere became a little strange. Zhang Duopan was envious and confused at the same time. Cheng Yi and Su Shihan toasted Lin Yi together. What did Lin Yi do? Su Shihan and Cheng Yi drank the wine in their hands while Lin Yi took a sip of tea. The situation was just that strange, but Su Shihan and Cheng Yi didn't want to explain, so the others could only keep it in their hearts. Right, this weekend, I'm planning to invite everyone to the Tiger Park to play. It can be considered as relieving the fatigue of this period. Zhang Duopan said. But it's a pity that Yi and Shihan are leaving tomorrow. Otherwise, we can go see the tiger together. We're too busy with work. There's no choice. Cheng Yi smiled. Let's go together then. Bai Weiduo, Lin Yi, you guys come too. Zhang Duopan smiled. Bai Weiduo and I are competing fairly. You won't not give us a chance, right? We're all good friends. We're going to have fun together. There's no competition. Himeiwe said helplessly. Although the meal was full of fighting, with Su Shihan and Cheng Yi there, it wasn't too obvious. Until the end of the meal, a waiter knocked on the door and came in. Hello everyone. Because you're the 888th guest of this month, we're providing a photo service. The photo can be made into a crystal cup, the waiter said respectfully. Photo. Zhang Duopan was dazed. Does it cost money? Many restaurants use this kind of promotion as an excuse, but in fact, they still wanted the customer to pay. So, Zhang Duopan asked subconsciously. It's free. The waiter said. Normally, it's charged, but the 888th guest is free. Oh, it's free. Then I'll take one. Zhang Duopan nodded. Okay, I'll go find a photographer. The waiter didn't see Su Shihan and Cheng Yi because they had their backs to the door. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi helplessly put on their sunglasses again. After all, it might be troublesome to ask the photographer to come out. Soon, the photographer came. He wasn't surprised that Su Shirhan and Qing Yi were wearing sunglasses. After all, a lot of customers liked to look cool when they took photos. There were some who wore glasses and hats. After taking the photo, the photographer left. After a while, the waiter brought over a beautiful crystal cup with everyone's photo. Just one. Zhang Duopan thought it was one for each person, but there was only one. How were they going to split it among so many people? Sir, you can make more, but the first one is free. The rest will have to be charged, the waiter said. Chapter 2007. We can charge a fee too, one for everyone. Zhang Duopan waved his hand. How was he supposed to split the cup? Hey, sir. Please wait a moment. The waiter said and retreated to make the cups. Let me see, let me see. Yushu snatched the cup from Zhang Duopan's hand. Wow, Shield Bro, you're so handsome in the photo. You're the most handsome out of all of us. Yushu said. To mind your image. Meng Yao said helplessly. Shu had insisted on sandwiching Lin Yi between the two of them during the photo shoot, not giving Xinyan a chance at all. Xinyan had no choice but to stand beside Yushu, and Yushu was very pleased with herself. It didn't take long for the waiter to bring the crystal cups over, one for each person, no more, no less. Zhang Duopan turned to the waiter. Waiter, can I have the bill? How much is it? Sir, you've spent 200 and 900 in total, so it's 200,000. The waiter said. Oh, I'll pay with my card. Zhang Duopan casually handed over a card before realizing something was wrong. Wait, why is it 200,000? Wasn't it 140,000? Zhang Duopan had estimated the price. The dishes were only around 130,000, and even with the drinks, it was around 140,000. How could it be 200,000? That's right, sir. This is your list of expenses, please take a look. The waiter didn't look down on Zhang Duopan at all. He politely took out a list of expenses and handed it to Zhang Duopan. This is 5,000 for a crystal picture frame? Zhang Duopan's eyes went wide. There were more than 10 people in his group, and just the crystal frames alone cost 60,000. No wonder it was 200,000. Yes, sir. This crystal photo frame is made of real crystal, not glass. The waiter explained, every single one of them is worth collecting, and there's an expert's certificate here. Is that so? Zhang Duopan looked at the pile of crystal cups and wanted to cry but had no tears. They were all printed with photos. He had to buy them even if he didn't want to. He could only say with a sad face, okay, I'll pay by card. However, the fees he gave Qing Yi were not enough. There were only a few 100,000 left in the card. Zhang Duopan was thinking about what excuse he could use to ask his dad for more money. After dinner, Lin Yi drove Xinyan, Meiyue, and Chai Xiaoling back to school. He was about to head back to the villa with Sanhuang when he saw two people standing there in the dark parking lot. Upon closer inspection, who else could it be but Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao? Han Jingjing? Lin Yi stopped the car and looked at Han Jingjing in surprise. Why are you two standing in the parking lot? Big brother Lin Yi, we were waiting for you to send us home. Han Jingjing said pitifully. I thought you forgot about us, but you finally remembered and came back. Ugh, you're saying that you've been waiting for me to send you home? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open. Yeah. Han Jingjing nodded. Isn't your X5M parked over there? Don't you know how to drive? Lin Yi looked at the X5M not far from the parking lot. I didn't bring my keys. I've been riding in your car for the past 2 days, and I thought the keys were a little heavy, so I didn't bring them. Han Jingjing said. You didn't bring your keys? Lin Yi was stunned by Han Jingjing's words. Then why didn't you call me? I did, but my phone was turned off. Han Jingjing said, feeling wronged. Lin Yi remembered that he'd turned off his phone when he was on stage, afraid that someone would be looking for him. He'd forgotten to turn it back on. Okay, get in the car. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. If you can't find me next time, take a taxi back, and it's not far on foot anyway. I was afraid that you would come to pick me up again, and we would be worried if you couldn't find us, Han Jingjing said. Then I won't call you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Okay, get in the car. Lin Yi, how could you forget about Han Jingjing for dinner? Look at how pitiful she is, She hasn't eaten yet, right? Meng Yao didn't have any bad feelings towards Han Jingjing. After a few days of interaction, she felt that this girl didn't have any ulterior motives and was easy to get along with. It's okay, Yao Yao sis, I'll go home and eat instant noodles, Han Jingjing said. Shield bro, why don't you make some food for them when you go home? They're so pitiful, they're always hungry. Yushu also sympathized with Han Jingjing. She actually stood in the autumn wind for an entire night. It was really pitiful. It's okay, Shu, we always eat instant noodles, we're used to it, Han Jingjing quickly said. It's already so late, it's fine. It's okay, there's ready-made food at home, I'll cook for you, it's nothing. Lin Yi was very embarrassed. Because of his mistake, Han Jingjing and Yushu stood in the parking lot for an entire night without food. It made him feel bad. Thank you, Lin Yi bro. Han Jingjing said happily. The car returned to the villa. Lin Yi got off the car, and Su Shirhan also got off the car. Originally, Feng Sanhuang planned to send Cheng Yi back to the hotel, but Cheng Yi didn't want to go back. Sheji, why don't you help me talk to Lin Yi? Can I stay here tonight? Cheng Muyi said pitifully. Last night, after that incident, I went back to the hotel, and the moment I closed my eyes, I saw those robbers. I couldn't sleep well. I only fell asleep in the wee hours. It was too scary. I don't dare to stay by myself. It's okay, Thesis, if you're scared, you can stay here. Meng Yao agreed generously, because Cheng Yi was a celebrity that she liked, and she was also Su Shirhan's junior. How could she not agree? But after Meng Yao finished speaking, she realized that the owner of the villa was not her anymore. It was Lin Yi. So, Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi, a little embarrassed. Lin Yi, is it okay? Lin Yi understood what the miss was thinking, but he smiled. You have a part of this villa, it's as good as Songshan, you can make the decision. Meng Yao heard Lin Yi's words. She was a little touched. Thank you. It's nothing, you guys chat first, I'll cook something for Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao, Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao didn't seem to be fans. Han Xiaoqiao was very shy. He didn't like to talk, and Han Jingjing seemed to be engrossed in studying something. She wouldn't let go of her tablet. She wouldn't stop writing and drawing. Chapter 2008. Fortunately, the two of them got off the car and went back to the villa. They didn't talk to Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi. Lin Yi was surprised. Were these siblings even people of this world? They didn't like to chase after celebrities at all. Lin Yi found some food in the kitchen, making 2 dishes before sending it over to Han Jingjing. Lin Gij, thank you. Han Jingjing saw that Lin Yi was here and finally put down the tablet and ran out to help Lin Yi. Do you want to come in and sit for a bit? No, you guys should rest early after eating, I'm going back. Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing's mansion. There didn't seem to be anything new inside. It was all the furniture and appliances that came with the mansion. Han Xiaoqiao was sitting on the sofa reading a book, while Han Jingjing was probably playing with the tablet. These two were really weird. They were both nerds, but the elder sister's personality was even weirder than the younger brother's. Lin Yi took a look at Han Xiaoqiao's book. It was a textbook from a university's economics department. It was normal to read textbooks at home, but Han Jingjing was using a tablet to calculate some pill refining formula. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. Okay then. Han Jingjing nodded, a little disappointed. Oh right, Lin Gij, how's your alchemy going? These 2 days? I don't have time to study it yet. Lin Yi said honestly. Lin Yi was busy with the freshman party, and then he got attacked after picking up Su Shirhan, and then he broke through. Lin Yi didn't even have time to practice the 4th stance of Frenzy Fist, not to mention alchemy. Please remember. I see, I wanted to discuss it with you. Han Jingjing said, then when Lin Gij is done, we can discuss it together, okay? Lin Yi nodded. Han Jingjing was very happy to receive Lin Yi's reply. She happily said goodbye and went to eat with Han Xiaoqiao. Lin Yi, on the other hand, returned to his villa. In the living room, Meng Yao, Yushu, Su Shirhan, and Cheng Yi were chatting excitedly. It seemed like they were talking about yesterday's events. Cheng Yi was beaming with joy and her eyes were full of admiration. As soon as Lin Yi entered the door, he heard her words. Yao, Shu, I really envy you. You have such a powerful bodyguard as Lin Yi living with you. If Shirhan and I stopped singing, we would want to move in with you. Sure, then move here when you guys retire from the music industry. Meng Yao smiled. We're afraid that someone might be hostile towards us if we move here. With that, Shirhan smiled as she looked at Yushu. They were still making fun of Wang Xinyan just now. No, I'm just helping shield bro. Yushu was a little embarrassed and quickly changed the topic. Shirhan sis, you and sis seem to be very close? Yeah, the two of us are from the same sect and we hit it off very well. We usually like similar things, so we're closer. Shirhan nodded. Thanks to senior sister's care, otherwise I wouldn't be able to develop so well. Cheng Yi also nodded. Why don't you guys go to bed early? Tomorrow, you have to go to school or catch a plane. Can you get up? Lin Yi looked at the four people who were chatting happily. Sleep soon. Meng Yao looked at her watch and realized that it was already very late. When the freshman party ended, it was already 9 o'clock at night. After dinner, it was already 11 o'clock, and now it was 12 o'clock. If they didn't sleep now, they really wouldn't be able to get up tomorrow. So, the four of them packed up and went upstairs. Lin Yi, on the other hand, returned to his room and continued to consolidate the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. There were too many things to do these few days. Lin Yi wanted to find a chance to practice the fourth form of the Frenzy Fist. Now that Lin Yi was already at the peak of the early phase of Earth class, other than the fourth form of the Frenzy Fist, would he be able to use the fifth and sixth forms? Lin Yi was very looking forward to it. It was just that he didn't have the time to think about it. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Lin Yi activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. His strength at the peak of the early phase of Earth class was basically stabilized. This time, there weren't too many accidents for Lin Yi to break through. After all, Lin Yi was about to break through. He just lacked the opportunity to break through the limit, and this opportunity happened to appear during the battle. But what made Lin Yi happy was that this opportunity came at the end of the battle, the deciding moment of victory or defeat. If it had appeared before, then Lin Yi would be in danger. With the Earth-class black-clothed man glaring at him, how could he break through in peace? Perhaps this group of people would all be finished. Thinking about it, Lin Yi felt a lingering fear. However, through this battle, Lin Yi actually discovered that he had an advantage. What he lacked in strength, he could use martial arts to make up for it. For example, he was only in early phase of Earth class, but with the unique martial arts, he didn't show any weakness when facing the black-clothed man of the mid-phase. His first form of the Frenzy Fist was actually equivalent to the second form of the black-clothed man's Ice Snow Thorn. In other words, as long as Lin Yi's stamina was full every time, he could still fight above his level. This discovery made Lin Yi both surprised and happy. He originally thought that the advantage he had when he was in the Mystic class no longer existed, but he didn't expect that through Faubert's martial arts, he had regained his initial advantage. The fourth form of the Frenzy Fist was already enough to completely crush a mid-phase Earth class. In other words, if the opponent was only one level lower, Lin Yi could easily crush them. As long as he used the fourth form of the Frenzy Fist from the start, the opponent wouldn't be able to handle it. However, what would it be like facing a peak mid-phase Earth class now? He hoped that he could use the fifth and sixth forms of the Frenzy Fist. That way, Lin Yi would be able to fight against a peak mid-phase Earth class. Actually, what Lin Yi didn't know was that he could now fight above his level because of the Frenzy Fist. Although the Frenzy Fist was considered a top-notch martial art, it also depended on the user. Lin Yi had the support martial art that he took out from the cave, which allowed him to display every form of the Frenzy Fist to the fullest. Just like the person who created this martial art, he could understand the essence of each form. But it was different for others. Although the martial art was powerful, everyone's understanding would more or less deviate. No one could be like Lin Yi, using the Frenzy Fist as if it was his own creation. The black-clothed man's Ice Snow Thorn wasn't weak either. It was just that he was too weak. His mental cultivation wasn't that great to begin with, so the martial arts effect couldn't be fully displayed. Plus, his understanding wasn't that thorough, so every form was weaker than Lin Yi's.